Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me, as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93.
Absolutely. Nothing but fun. That's what we're aiming for, boys, here on the Monday edition of the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. Can't thank our listening audience enough for being in the mix with us this beautiful Monday. As a matter of fact, Josh, a couple of nice text messages have come in from a listener or two already. What time is it, Dana?
5:41.
5:41. A couple of messages have come in already, even at this unholy hour.
Well, that's very sweet of them to jump in so quickly.
Oh, absolutely. You can always get a hold of us, by the way, at the number, well, at least until 9, and then we go home. You can always get a hold of us at the number 651-989-9393. Here's a couple of messages. Morning, plebes. And another says, good morning, spoke lords.
Spoke. Gross.
And Ashley. Don't worry about Ashley this morning. She's sound asleep. She wasn't feeling up to it. So we, of course, hope to see her tomorrow. Being pregnant ain't easy, apparently.
No. And she had a big weekend, too, between a baby shower and then she was in a wedding last night. That's a lot of activities.
Oh, I forgot about all that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she just doesn't feel like it.
Maybe she can't even.
A wedding last night?
Yeah.
Oh, she's fine then. For a second there, I was worried.
Well, I guess I don't know if the wedding was last night. Technically, it might have been the afternoon. I'm not sure, but I knew it was yesterday.
It's Ashley. It stretched into the night.
It wasn't last night, I can tell you that.
She's
I was
fine.
texting with her last night. She went to the doctor, had some tummy issues. She's going to be all right. Nothing baby-related.
Okay.
I sure hope you had the greatest Father's Day ever yesterday, Josh.
You know, it was great. I got to see the bigger kids on Saturday. We hung out with my youngest yesterday. I did have a humbling moment. We went on a little family walk, and my son, I told him, listen, you got a couple of choices. There's a Think Through School where they go and they kind of keep them doing some school stuff through the summer. It's not necessarily summer school. It's similar, but it's not quite as intense.
You brought up this idea, like maybe you want to get a little bit of a summer education?
We've had him do that before. He's not the brightest kid, so he needs the help.
I was going to say, were you kind of hinting at something there when you were suggesting it?
Oh, no, I was very clear.
Okay.
Very clear why. And so I had said, this year we're going to give you a choice. We can set aside some stuff for you to do, but you got to do it, or you can go to the more organized thing through school. So, of course, he decides, I'll just do the stuff you guys want instead of having to go to school in the summer.
So you and your wife are going to prepare him on your own. The two of you are going to prepare him school-like stuff?
It's pretty much just reading, right? That's pretty much it. So,
you need any more to do, but that's what I mean.
It's easy enough,
okay.
right?
So he's decided he wants his mother and father to give him a little extra education this summer,
which I understand, because I'm sure what he's thinking is that's going to last a week tops, and then they're going to forget about it. So I told him yesterday, I'm like, hey, why don't we go to the library and you can pick out some books and really get this thing going.
God, I'd be bummed out if I would. I would be so bummed out if I was him.
Yeah, I understand. I would too. Like I said, he needs the help.
Pick out some books.
So, and he's like, oh, shoot, the library's closed. I'm like, oh, no, it's really cool. Like, I can get us in afterwards because, if you register your library card, you can get in after hours.
Whoa.
So he's like, wait a minute. That's really cool. You sound like a giant nerd. And it was humbling because I was so excited. I thought, well, no. We can learn at any time, son.
You're a VIP at the library in your town to where you can even get in the building after hours?
Well, all you have to do is register online and promise you're not going to masturbate, right? That's about it.
Oh, that's a tough promise to make, though.
They just, they have that CAPTCHA, or whatever that thing's called, so I have to click on some motorcycles to prove I'm not a robot.
Yeah.
And then also, they say, are you going to masturbate in here? And I say, well, of course not. I say, they let you in. But
Never in a million years would you masturbate at the library.
No, never. I was so excited to share this information, and I thought, what a wonderful, cool thing. And then he pointed out, and I realized immediately, you're right. That was very nerdy, and I was very excited about it.
You said, direct quote, hey, this is really cool.
Yeah.
I can get us into the library where mere mortals, they can't get in the door, but I can get us into the library. He was right to say, you sound like a jackass.
Have you had that situation where you're pumped about something, somebody points something out, and you realize, oh no, I've been looking at this all wrong?
I don't know. It's a good question, but man, I would be one unhappy kid if I was going to the library during summer.
I mean, it's easy enough. He can just read a book about Justin Jefferson if he wants, something like that, just so he's doing some sort of reading.
Has there already been a book written about Justin Jefferson?
I don't think that would be too interesting. The guy
is.
hasn't lived enough life yet for it to be an interesting book.
Well, hold on a second.
Hang on.
There was about a 500-page autobiography of a 15-year-old we know. He wrote his autobiography at 15 years old, and that sucker was thick.
Really?
Yeah.
I never got around to reading it.
There was a kid we used to know who presented us his autobiography, and Josh isn't kidding. He was 15 or 16 years old. And I said, autobiography? My God, you don't even have a driver's license yet. How are you writing that? Anyway, well.
Steelers fan Jesus texts in one of those either-or questions you have to answer. You can't alter.
Oh, interesting.
You have to masturbate.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
In one place to save your family's lives.
Ah, come on. Yeah?
I'm masturbating for justice and my family.
What am I, where am I? What are my choices?
Library or church? Library, easily. No question.
You know what? I'm going to go church.
Some churches have libraries in it.
Oh.
Just double down.
Yeah, I don't really see the difference between the two. I think either would be fine to save my family.
The church library.
I'll go do both. Why not?
That's a gross question.
That is gross.
Josh, you are pretty cool that you can get into the library as a VIP. But
again, to become a VIP, you just register with your library card online. That's all you got to do.
It's so funny that you present that information thinking it was going to be cool. Like you had VIP access to like a water park or, something like that. Now the library.
But I can understand why a 13, 14-year-old kid would think, well, that's the dumbest damn thing I've heard all day.
Yeah, I realized it as he said it.
Later on this morning, we're going to add to this sausage party. Dr. P. Jesus is going to swing by. We'll holler at you when you need to be ready for that.
That'll be fun to see him.
Oh, by the way, so you mentioned your son, more importantly, my godson. Not the greatest student. It happens. I was a terrible, terrible student. When you say not the greatest student, what are we talking? C's?
C's, yeah.
Oh, for Christ's sake, he's fine. My
1D, I think, in like art. And I was like, how do you get a D in art?
Well, because it's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring. I got D's in art. I got F's
Did
in
you
art.
really?
I got F's in everything. I mean, I was about to say my parents would have been excited to see a C on my report card, but then it dawned on me they never asked to see a report card.
That must have been nice.
It was, but at the same time, then I turned 25 and I said, how come you guys didn't help me at all? But anyway, my niece is, where is she at? Going to be a junior in high school next year. A couple summers ago, it was the first day of summer vacation, and my wife stopped by to see this kid for whatever reason. First day of summer vacation, my wife walks in the house. She's, hello, there's no one in the upstairs. So she goes down to the downstairs, and this kid is in her bedroom. And my wife says, well, what are you doing? It was like, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock, first day of summer vacation. What are you doing in there? Homework. And she really was doing.
Whoa. She started summer school immediately?
Okay, I didn't mean to mislead you. She's such a good.
Just on her own?
Yes.
Oh.
She is such a dedicated, good student that the first day of summer vacation, she was already doing something to prepare for the next year.
That's insane.
And I thought, my God, that is. I could never, ever have put myself in that mindset. Not even once back in those days.
My dad was a teacher, and occasionally, a couple summers, he would do summer school. And, oh, man, the stories, he would be so miserable at that. I mean, picture the kids, they don't want to be there. They're bad students as it is, and trying to wrangle them, he said it was just awful. It was just miserable.
I had summer school. I took summer school, I should say, between maybe my 7th and 8th grade year. I don't remember much about it. I do remember that the crowd, my classmates, were pretty squirrely. But
was it kind of fun for that reason?
Yeah, because I knew most of the squirrely.
Right.
Oh, there's Donnie, there's Ronnie, all these goof-offs and low-lifes that I associated with. I don't remember much beyond I remember a few of the familiar faces in there. I didn't think it was all that miserable, although, sure, beautiful summer day, and we're sitting in a class. Anyway, and speaking of all this type of stuff, this past Friday, I attended a high school graduation party and a retirement party in the same day. So I kind of had ringside seats Friday for the very beginning of living a responsible adult life and for the end of living a responsible adult life.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Got to see both sides of that.
I did.
Well, it might be depressing if they were kind of held at the same time and the kid looks at the retired person and say, wow, life has been sucked out of them. Like, I have so much hope.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
He's just an empty shell.
There's so much hope and promise, and that's where I'm going to be.
I should have taken a picture of the high school grad and the retiree just as a before and after sample. You know what I mean?
Medical Device Jesus said the first day of summer vacation, both of his kids were crying about missing school. He said he literally argued with them to say summer vacation was better. Are they putting on a show or what? I don't understand this at all. Is it just missing their buddies?
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember missing my friends a lot. None of my friends really lived in my neighborhood, so it was tough to see people in the summer. So I was always kind of lonely in the summer.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that sucks. Yeah,
That's the thing. Our school, too, we had kids from all over the Twin Cities.
Oh, that's right, especially for you, man.
And so, yeah, there's only a couple kids in my neighborhood that went to the same school, so it was a lot different. So at schools, when you'd see all these guys that lived way, I grew up in Minneapolis, and there was guys that are out in Savage. And when I was in high school, Savage might as well been just a different state.
You don't even call it Savage anymore. You call it
the Vag.
The Vag.
The brotherhood taught me it's called the Vag, and I'm upset with myself. I never knew that until like 2 years ago.
Well, that's kind of different. So you guys, when school ended, you didn't get to see your pals constantly.
It was a few times a summer, your parents would drive you out there or something, or vice versa, but not like you can hang out every single day.
Me and my core group of buddies were together every single day, all the way through school and every single day in the summer. That must have been a different kind of an experience.
Yeah, the dudes that lived by me, definitely that was the case. But there were some guys you've missed in the summer for sure.
Not that long ago, one of my oldest pals, we were sitting at the bar together, and I noticed he had a kind of a different look on his face. And what occurred to me is that he was thinking, and he rarely does that. He was kind of staring off, and I said, what are you doing? And he goes, I just had a thought. I said, well, what was the thought? And he said, it just occurred to me that I've been getting as drunk as I possibly can every weekend since I was 16 years old. And I said, yeah, I suppose you have. He was just kind of measuring his life out, and that was where he went with it.
Thinking, I hope things don't change. I hope they stay the same.
I used to say that if I could do it all over again, I'd get an education. But now I think if I could go back to high school graduation instead of, going straight to working warehouse gigs and whatnot right out of school, I think I'd learn a trade or I'd go into the armed forces.
Yeah.
Let's say you're fresh out of high school again. What do? Maybe some of you.
I've said before, I wish I would have went into the trades, definitely.
Yeah.
And I did interview for the armed forces. I had a seizure disorder, and they're like, no thanks.
They knew that already back then?
Well, I did disclose it, yeah.
I didn't know you knew that already back then.
Well, I knew I had seizures. I didn't know I had epilepsy.
Oh.
So I didn't get diagnosed with epilepsy until I was in my 20s.
So you had to disclose that information, and they said maybe it's not the best idea.
Yeah,
that
was pretty much it.
Did
you have those? I mean, I had them all over to our house.
No, we didn't go
they
that.
Didn't come to your house.
No, I never. I had a completely different experience.
Yeah, I remember sitting around the dinner table, with my folks talking about it and stuff, and I was pretty excited about it.
I'm sure you would have been great.
I could follow orders.
I'm sure you'd have been great in that role.
I would have loved it. That's nice of you to say.
Isn't that something? So, I mean, you came very close to going into the armed forces.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it's like, okay, I'd like to either go into the armed forces or be a rock guitar player.
One of those sounds more practical than the other.
Maybe I could have been in the Army band.
No, I never took it seriously. But like I said, now looking back, if I wouldn't have been such a lazy punk, low-life character, if I could go back, I'd either maybe jump in and be a grunt for an electrician or a plumber or whatever, or I'd go into the armed forces. That's with a clear mind, Back then, I had no idea, absolutely no idea what direction I should go when high school let out. But I did
that make you nervous?
No, because I was a stupid idiot. I didn't care at all.
I was nervous about that because it seemed like I had friends that, as long as I knew them, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. And I never had that feeling.
I knew none of those people.
I thought I was in some serious trouble.
That was probably part of my problem, is I didn't hang out with anybody. Well, there were a few guys, but very few of my friends had any direction in life. So, but back to going into the armed forces and that whole routine. When you're in high school, they come to your school and they want to talk to you. I went to every one of those meetings, but not because I seriously entertained the idea. I went to those meetings because it got you out of responsibility for a half hour.
We didn't really have them at our school.
Oh, they came to the school all the time. Who wants to go see the Army?
Yeah.
They'll be in class 110. I'd go right there just because it meant I didn't have to be in class. The Navy, everyone. And I went so often that, of course, my phone is ringing off the hook after high school. Because, hey, remember we talked to you about going into the Navy? And I was stuck, I didn't want to be a dick and just hang up. So I continued to talk to these guys, feigning interest, and I never took it seriously. But what I'm saying is, now I wish I would have, because it would have been the absolute perfect kick in the ass that I needed at 18 years old. But I was too stupid. I was too lazy. All I wanted to do was get drunk and drive a forklift around my warehouse job,
HVAC slashing our stuff, Jesus said, he learned his trade in the armed forces. How cool would that be?
There you go. I mean, and by the way, nothing wrong with driving a forklift for a living. It's probably the gig that I should have kept. I loved that gig.
This person is 67 and they still don't know what they want to do. Sure.
Isn't that something?
Sometimes it takes a while.
651-989-9393. If you could do it all over again, you're right out of school, what do? Maybe there's a few of you lucky pricks who wouldn't change a damn thing. 651-989-9393. If you're right out of school, what would you do? You know what just dawned on me at this very moment, Josh?
What's that?
I've been getting as drunk as possible every weekend since I was 13 years old.
13. Millennial steel cutter Jesus, what'd he do different? Invest in Bitcoin.
Oh.
Is that really a thing anymore?
He said he'd have trillions. Oh, Bitcoin? Sure.
Oh, I never followed it.
I noticed the other day that on my banking app, I could buy some Bitcoin if I wanted.
Oh, did you?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I have old man mentality on that. That makes me nervous.
Confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, the counselors and teachers at my school must have thought, wow, this Bourne kid really wants to serve our country.
He's gone to the Navy recruitment meeting 5 weeks in a row.
And again, as dumb, I mean, just so dumb and aimless and goalless as I was at that age.
They could have helped you out there. I've got a couple buddies that it straightened them out big time.
Oh God, I think it would have been great for me.
There's one guy in particular I thought, oh no, they don't know what they got into with this dude. And then he turned him around completely.
I don't know if I would have been a lifer. I don't think so. But anyway, like I was saying, I had no idea that these school meetings would mean 6 phone calls a day. So I didn't know what to do.
Local 34 Jesus would have gone into the Air Force and learned how to fly.
Dude.
Yeah, I always thought fighter pilot would be cool.
Oh, God. I'll tell you what. I don't think I would have reached that level. You got to be pretty smart for that gig. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, to be a fighter pilot?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I just would have been a cook. I don't know. But it would have been good for me. It would have been great for me. So there I was Friday. Started off at a high school graduation, ended my night as at a retirement party. Of course, me and Randy Shaver went to Maple Lake over the weekend. We'll tell you all about that when Randy swings by.
That picture Randy sent last night of you and the mayor was absolutely hilarious. And you were getting along. You looked like you enjoyed each other's company.
Well, I mean,
it's a different mayor, right?
Much. Oh, yeah. The last time I was in Maple Lake was 1992. I met the mayor of Maple Lake Saturday. And we hit it off. Lynn was her name, if I remember correctly. I'll look up the last name. Nice lady. We'll tell you all about our trip to Maple Lake a little later on. But yes, I did meet the mayor.
And live to tell about it.
And again, you looked like you made a friend.
I didn't have any worries, because so much has changed.
Did anybody come up and apologize?
No.
Maybe you
No.
recognized somebody's face, but instead of a snarl and their fist coming at you, they were smiling?
I did not have any tension there. Lots has changed in the last 30 years or so. For me and for Maple Lake. Here's a listener who said if he could do it all over again, if he was getting out of high school all over again, he'd join the DNR.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. People, I mean, we've met plenty of people that do that and absolutely love it.
NWO Jesus said he wouldn't change a thing. What makes your life so great, NWO Jesus?
Yeah.
Maybe he was in the NWO back in the day.
I suppose if that's the truth, then I wouldn't change a damn thing either. He wouldn't change a thing. Nothing? NWO Jesus, I'm not trying to pick on you, but what makes your life so perfect that you wouldn't change a thing? I got to know more. Oh. Broken lifted 79 Chevy Jesus. If he could do it all over again, he would not go to jail.
Fair enough.
You're a dedicated listener. Broken lifted 79 Jesus. We appreciate you. Everybody makes mistakes, son. Every damn buddy. Here's another listener. Asked me about CrossFit Jesus. Wouldn't do anything different. Lucky bastard.
Oh, he's got more to say about that.
Who does?
Ask me anything about CrossFit, Jesus.
Okay.
Because everything led to his life, meeting his wife, 20 years. She's listening.
I thought, okay, I misread that.
Yeah.
Everything led to my life today, including my wife of 20 years, in parentheses, she's listening.
So that's the answer. Maybe she's looking at him like, go ahead, say you wish you would have done things different.
I get it. And now we have people texting in saying that they are good friends with the mayor of Maple Lake. Very nice lady. Very nice.
She looked like it.
Oh, what else is going on, Cubby? You got anything else on your mind before we take a break, Ski?
That's all I got.
Well, like I said, Dr. P. Jesus is going to be swinging by a little bit later. He usually comes around by 8:20, 8:30. And if you got something that's bothering you with your sexy body, you can text in and ask the man. And he'll try to straighten you out one way or the other. At 7:30, Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder will be in the mix. So we appreciate you dialing in. And we'll return with the stupid news here shortly on the 93X Half-Ass Morning Show.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
You buy a pair of socks, that's 2 socks. You buy a pair of Bombas socks, that's 4 socks. Because one purchased is one donated. Socks are the #1 most requested clothing item in homeless shelters. So when you buy a pair of super comfortable Bombas socks, you're also donating a pair. Bombas customers have powered over 150 million donations. So Bombas would like to thank you 150 million times. But we only have like 30 seconds. Go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
You know, Cubby, I asked our gorgeous listening audience, because I was sharing a story about how I swung by a high school graduation party last Friday. I asked our listening audience if they could do it all over again, fresh out of high school. What would you do? What would you do differently? Quite a few people have texted in and said, I wouldn't change an effing thing. Well, good for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But some of us are F-ups, and we've F'd our entire life up from top to bottom. So I asked, if you were fresh out of high school, if you could do it all over again, what would you do? What would you do differently? Listen to this. One listener says, I would have trained in MMA more. How far did you get in MMA, Josh? Did you ever
Never got past the first M.
You didn't get to the other M
No.
or the A?
Never.
So you never faced Steve Blackman?
Nope.
Or Ken Shamrock?
Negatory. Nope, never had. Why? Yeah, I guess I did some boxing lessons once, just kind of for fun.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How old of a guy were you when you took boxing lessons?
Oh, in my 20s.
Were you doing it as just a workout, or you thought it would be like fun, a good skill to learn?
Exactly.
Okay.
See, now, if there's one thing I know about boxing, you need rhythm. And you don't have it.
No, I don't. I'm like, wait a minute. A combo? I can't figure that one out. Yeah, my wife trained a lady who was married to a guy. My wife's a personal trainer.
Your wife?
Trained a lady whose husband was a boxing trainer, and they just kind of exchanged it. And I did that for a couple of years. I was in pretty good shape.
You need speed.
From that.
You don't have it.
I don't have it. I can't throw out any hurting bombs.
You got calluses in all your joints.
Even my words aren't strong enough to hurt somebody. Perry Saturn Jesus says, I don't know what I'd do if I could do it all again. But to all those people that wrote stay cool in my yearbook, I'm sorry. I wasn't able to do it.
I also regret to inform you I did not have a kick-ass summer.
Hey, and we didn't stay friends like you promised we would.
We didn't stay in touch.
I've mentioned before that I was an awful, terrible, unforgivably bad student. F's consistently. A lot of classes I just didn't even show up. I really honestly should not have been handed my diploma. And a lot of my friends were like that as well. We just didn't care. One great example of the lack of education that a few of us received, our own fault, is the proof of that is still in my senior yearbook. This is an 18-year-old adult now who wrote in my yearbook, one of my best friends, and he wrote, we have to get together this summer, okay? Typical yearbook statement. But he wrote, we haft, H-A-F-T, haft T.O. get together. And it wasn't a joke. It wasn't cool slang or shorthand or anything. He really thought that haft was a word as opposed to have to.
I could see why if you've just never seen it written out.
Never been to... He didn't go to class a lot either, that guy.
I wish I would have finished college, I guess. Or we mentioned before, we certainly trade school, something like that. I took an automotive electronics class and loved that. They kind of adopted me. The real men took me under their wing and taught me how to rebuild a carburetor and whatnot.
That's impressive.
That's good stuff. Like I said, if I could do it all over again, I'd go into the trades, or I'd dump my scrawny ass into the armed forces and let them handle, let them beat some sense into me.
As an example of how well I did in that automotive electronics class, I said carburetor when I meant alternator. They didn't cover the carburetor in automotive electronics.
It sounded right to me.
I realized it as soon as I said it.
I would have believed anything you told me in that moment. Because Josh knows where I'm headed if something happens to us here.
Chrysler plant?
Effing Chrysler plant. Here I come. Short but fat, she's texted in to say if she could do it all over again, she would have become a singer.
Oh, it's never too late. Give it a shot.
Well, I suppose you can go on...
karaoke and whatnot.
Well, I suppose you could do a karaoke tour.
Or, try out for one of the shows.
I don't want a Jesus named Jesus said if I could do it all over again, I'd become a stripper.
Oh. Andrew said he would have become an electrician. There's a few people that texted in and said they wish they would have became an electrician.
Yeah, I got a couple buddies who went right into, I don't know, what do you call it, electrician school, right out of high school, and kind of like, what are you guys doing, man? We're going to college. We're going to go party and stuff. And they started working right away, and they're doing very well for themselves.
Good for them.
Pretty jealous about that.
Now, a couple people are texting in, and then I promise you we'll get to the stupid news. The story about my pal who misspelled or misunderstood that the two separate words have to, and of course, when people say it out loud, hey, we have to do this, we have to do that. He really thought the word was H-A-F-T, haft. People are texting in saying, and assuming that this is the same guy who misspelled the word why. A friend of mine from when we were young decided to graffiti a wall, and he misspelled the word why. He spelled it W-Y-E as opposed to W-H-Y. They're assuming this is the same person. No, it is not. I had two friends who were that lost on simple spelling that you learn in second grade. So
I've done that before, where I've started writing an email and I wrote something similar to that and realized, what am I doing? I mean, I know that's not the right way to do it, but I still write it out as it sounds in my head.
You're a strong speller overall.
Better.
I always ask you when I need something to be spelled. I usually look to you.
Well, I was terrible at it, so I worked hard at trying to fix that. But there's still times today where, like I said, I'll spell something or I'll completely forget an obvious word. Like, how the heck do you spell that thing?
So again, I mentioned Friday I went to a high school graduation party, which got us to talking about school and what we would do if we were fresh out of high school, if we could do it again. I also mentioned that I went to a retirement party in the same day, so I had quite an experience. Here is I'll Catch Up eventually podcaster Jesus, who wants to dump a shout-out on his dad. His dad is starting his ultimate F-off week this week. He's retiring after almost 40 years at Anderson Windows in Stillwater.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Congratulations to the old man.
Nice work. That's got to be very exciting. A few people are saying they wish they would have started their own business. I don't know if I have the acumen for that, but there's certainly times where I'll look at buddies who, they're contractors and they run their own thing, and I see the stress. I see the stress they're under. But then one of them will go, I decided I'm going to go skiing in Denver for a week, just kind of out of nowhere. And I thought that freedom would be kind of cool.
I wouldn't have what it takes. I'd end up having to burn the building down, whatever that business might be.
And then the pressure to make sure your employees are getting paid, they have enough work to do that.
I do not have the skill set.
That'd be tough.
for that.
I couldn't do it either.
I have a couple pals who run their own business, and I don't know. One of them says, don't do it. Don't ever do it. But it depends on who's who. All right. Stupid news story part 1. And I suppose the gist here is that even scumbag, dickless kidnappers gotta eat too. In Connecticut, a 28-year-old lowlife bastard kidnapper has thankfully been arrested. What effed his plans up was when he forced his victim to stop at a McDonald's restaurant for something or another to eat. Stupid ass goes by the name of Alexander Matthews. There's no info here on if the victim was young, old, male, female. We don't know. But it says here Matthews approached the victim at a boat launch, and he had a knife in his hand. He got all up in the victim's face and told him, look, you're going to drive me, Summers. And, of course, the victim had no choice. All right. During the drive, Matthews demanded they stop at McDonald's so he could get some delicious fast food. This kidnapper must be a friggin' just an imbecile. He decided to go inside as to go through the drive-thru. I don't know if the line was too long. They passed on the drive-thru. They went into the restaurant. Oh. You know, where all the people are, where all the cameras were, everything. Somehow the victim, while they were inside the joint, managed to call 911. By the time the cops showed up, this Matthews kidnapper had run away like a little hoe. But it didn't take too long for the cops to find the prick. The local police smacked him around pretty good and then took him into custody. Needed to have a quarter pounder with cheese or something like that. And that's what did him in.
I guess the lesson is eat first. I understand the temptation of a quarter pounder with cheese. But what a dumbass.
He must
What
be
if it was like a last second thing? He didn't plan this out at all. He just thought, I'm starving and I don't have any wheels.
That's very frightening. A dude I grew up with was, 18 or 19 years old when he was forced to drive a couple of low-life criminals around. Very scary story. He blew a tire or something. He was disabled on the side of the road, he and his motor vehicle, and here comes a car up behind him, acting as if they were going to help, and next thing you know, they had a gun on him, and they said, get your ass into his own car. So his guess is the car they were driving must have been stolen. So they force him into his own car by gunpoint, and he this is a long time ago, but if I remember right, he doesn't think the hooligans, these nut jobs that abducted him, if that's the word, I don't know if that's the proper word, he doesn't think they had any real plans. They just were driving around, and I don't know what they were looking for. But eventually they took his driver's license away and said, okay, now we know your address. You better not call the cops. And they got out the car and walked away.
That's terrifying. I can't even imagine.
He did call the cops. And
yeah, I think I probably would.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I would be very scared, but I probably would. I told you I inadvertently was a part of a drug deal when I was just trying to deliver papers.
I love that story. I love that one.
I'm driving my mom's minivan at 3 in the morning, and a lady comes running up to me. This was when I still lived in Minneapolis, and she's disheveled clearly, and she's like, I need to get home. These guys are chasing me. I'm like, oh my God, get in. So I drive her further into Minneapolis, and she's telling me the story, and I'm feeling awful for her. And I was a little nervous, obviously, because, it's 3 in the morning, nobody's out.
You're a stranger in your car.
And she was on something clearly, right?
Oh.
And I lived a pretty sheltered life in the way that I wasn't really around that kind of thing ever. And so we go to this part of Minneapolis I was scared to be in already, even if it was broad daylight. And she's like, okay, thank you. This is where I'm going. And all of a sudden, the sliding door opens, and, 2-3 dudes get in, these huge, scary guys. And I thought, well, I'm dead. And I'm like, I'm driving my mom's minivan, trying to deliver papers. And all of a sudden, I'm part of this. They just started dealing drugs. Thank God they left the car.
Wait a minute. So the big guys get in the car. Where do you go?
I'm just sitting there.
But where did you drive them?
Nowhere. Nowhere.
Oh.
So they get in the car and do this drug deal.
Oh, there was a seller and a buyer amongst these.
It was like 2-3, I can't remember. I think it might have been 3 guys. I mean, I'm basically staring straight ahead thinking, well, this is it. This is the dumbest way a person can ever die.
Yeah, they sold some drugs.
Yeah, and I'm in my mom's minivan. It's just embarrassing. Everything's embarrassing. And they get out, and the lady's like, yeah, can you take me back to where you picked me up? And I had to go back that way for my route. I read her the riot act on the way back. You know, I was just so embarrassed. I was so disgusted I was a part of it. I felt so stupid. And I told her, I'm like, hey, you know what? Thanks to you, I don't think I'm ever going to pick up a person in distress ever again. Now, this is pre-cell phone, stuff like that. Now I would have called the cops.
So I'm trying to figure out why did she need you to bring her there if...
For a drug deal.
Oh, so she was also involved in the drug deal.
she was involved in it. So she knew these people.
She got some drugs.
Yeah.
And then you took her back.
That's all it was.
Josh, you were the original Uber driver.
Yeah, I was. Inadvertent.
Yeah. Why in the hell did you pick her up?
Well, she looked like she was in some serious trouble. Like I said, there's no cell phones. I couldn't, call for some help or something.
And you were, like you said, you were kind of sheltered. You never thought for a second that anybody would fake distress like that.
Not at all.
Trust that you're still...
I was on edge. It seemed off, certainly.
Yeah.
But I thought she was legitimately somebody in trouble. And the area I was in, I told you this before, where my apartment was right next to the shadiest motel, probably in Hennepin County. And it was right there. So I thought, okay, she might be telling me the truth.
Was this your mother's Volkswagen hippie van?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
And you're still... I try to get on your case about this once in a while because, tell me if you want to argue this, you're still way too trusting of a person.
Absolutely.
You fall in love with people very quickly.
I give too many chances to people, I mean, there's certain things you can do that I'm just like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
But, I'll give somebody the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, my God. So on the way back to dropping this lady off, you said, what in the hell was that? I was just part of a drug deal. I'm trying to deliver papers. I'm in my mom's van. You hollered at her?
And it certainly doesn't run in the family. For example, how a couple of years ago, a guy flags my mom down and is like, hey, I'm trying to get to church. I missed the bus. And my mom said, you know what? I'm actually going to church. I'll drop you off at your church. Drops him off. They have a nice exchange. Super nice guy. Gets to her church, realizes he stole her purse.
That's awful.
He stole her purse while she was giving him a ride.
Bottom line, we're idiots in my family.
Oh, my God.
Well, I'm just going to throw some money in the little donation basket. Grab my purse real quick. Where's my purse?
All right.
A lot of people claiming they know what the back of my mom's minivan looks like. No, you don't. Okay, text me and tell me exactly what it looks like. What a terrible thing to say.
She knows what the ceiling looks like.
Well, there's a mirror on that for some reason.
What the hell is a mirror? All right, dogs. Next up, we're going to talk dogs. Or one dog in particular, I guess. But dogs in general are pretty squarely food-motivated, are they not?
Very much so.
They're a food-motivated group. Dogs are. Here's a friggin' dog in South Dakota that snuck out the house and walked 5 miles in the dead of night. The dog was hoping to get to a convenience store and enjoy one of their breakfast burritos. Max is the name of the dog. Very unoriginal. Kind of like Charlie.
Yeah, fair enough. I didn't name him.
I love how you're distancing yourself. You're not even going to stick up for your dog a little bit?
Oh, he's so damn cute. I miss him. I wish he was here right now.
F you, Charlie.
Yeah.
You would have named him after a twin.
Or a Ninja Turtle.
You would have named him A.J. Przynski or...
Michelangelo.
Yeah, Turtle would be a good one, or a Fast and Furious character, I'm sure.
Max is the name of the dog. He's what they call here a 4-year-old Great Pyrenees. Oh, how do I say this? Okay. He's a 4-year-old Great Pyrenees named Max. Word is now, on a prior occasion, Max had been given a breakfast burrito by a member of the staff at a joint called the C Store in Langford, South Dakota. And obviously, Max really effing liked that breakfast burrito, and it was a memory that he couldn't shake. So one night last night, he escaped his big ass from his owner's house. He waited for the 16-year-old daughter by the name of Emily to come home, and he snuck out the garage when she pulled her car in. This was past 11:30 p.m. Once outside the house, he started his 2-hour walk to this convenience store. Now, after the fact, Max's owners said, after looking at the dog's GPS tracker kind of a thing on its collar, the dog took a direct route through fields and woods and such, as opposed to walking down the highway. Made it to the joint awful early, 5 hours ahead of when they open. But he sat down and waited outside.
That's amazing.
Word is here, though, at one point or another, Max ran out of patience. So he started walking again. If you remember, the 16-year-old daughter in the family, Emily, Max walked over to Emily's boyfriend's house. And the funny thing about that is that the dog had never been to Emily's boyfriend's house. Everybody thinks that Max must have smelled him because Great Pyrenees have incredible noses.
And maybe he reeked.
Maybe the boyfriend smelled like garbage, yeah. Max's family found out where he was, brought him home. After his big adventure, the family has started feeding him breakfast burritos at home to try and dissuade him from walking 5 miles through the countryside again to go get his own.
That's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I love that Dairy Queen hands out the pup cups.
Oh, I do too.
If you're ever sitting at a Dairy Queen, I'll just watch the drive-thru and watch the dogs come through. They're so pumped, the ones that have been there before. They just know exactly what's coming.
It's just a cup of whipped cream, right?
Yep.
Oh, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
I just assumed it was ice cream. I didn't know.
I mean, I've never experienced the Dairy Queen pup cup, but there's a couple of coffee shops where if your dog is in the car, I think they just give them a little cup of whipped cream. And yeah, dogs love that stuff. They get it all over their face. It's adorable, this, that. I've always gotten a kick out of the stories of animals who can somehow, some way, find their way home or find a destination on their own. I mean,
sometimes
some dogs,
the distances are incredible.
Yeah, some dogs and cats are way smarter and more resilient than we give them credit for. This dog had never driven to the damn convenience store 5 miles away. But he gets out the house and he can somehow find the damn thing. Just, I guess, with his nose. I don't know.
One of our dogs, he counter-surfed for the first time a couple weeks ago. He ate my sandwich. Neither dog had ever done something like that. I turned around for a split second.
He jumped up onto the counter?
Oh, he doesn't have to jump up. He just put his face on it.
Oh, he's so tall. Yeah.
And they had never done that before.
Well.
So I was down one peanut butter banana sandwich. He stole that thing from me.
Peanut butter and banana
He ate
sandwich.
it basically in one gulp.
And then Josh said, 2 can play at this game, and he got down and started eating the dog food out of the bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So crunchy.
Folks over there in Montreal, Quebec, effing Canada, they're not sure what to make of this, and it's got them all pissed off, French-Canadian style. There's a popular dog park in town, and suddenly a sign has been posted over there that outlaws barking.
Seems like something tough to police.
There is a
What are these dogs doing being dogs here?
Right.
Oh, they're out there doing dog stuff. How dare they?
A legit sign at the dog park that outlaws barking. If your stupid dog gets to run in its yapper, the dog owners can be fined between $500 and $2,000.
They just don't want you going to that dog park, essentially. That's insane.
The sign says, in French, it's forbidden to let your dog bark, whine, or howl. And I don't understand what the problem is here. One French Canadian who takes his dog to this particular dog park said, it's very stressful I'm always looking around to see if my dog is doing good. To see that my dog is behaving, so it's not fun anymore at the dog park. Dog owners said they couldn't believe the city would ban barking at a dog park. And so, Josh, what you said a minute ago, I guess, the city just doesn't want anyone going there, and this is their way to, I don't know. I can't.
Crying in the nursery.
Yeah, no crying, and no drinking at the bar, no eating at the restaurant. I'm not understanding this at all. A few months ago, a dog park in Toronto, Canada, put up a similar sign, but it didn't stay there long. It was removed after what they call here public outrage.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
I don't get it. I'll tell you one funny story about the dog park. A guy that I drink with now and again. Oh, he has a golden retriever, I believe, and when it was very young, of course, it had all the piss and vinegar in the world. So he puts this dog, young golden retriever, on a leash. I believe it was one of those retractable leashes. Takes it to the dog park. He's standing in the middle of the dog park. His dog is running. He's got him on the leash. And someone walks up, as they do with the dog. Oh, what? Give me the story on your dog. Where'd you get this one? And as he's explaining, well, I got it from a rescue, this and that, the dog is going so crazy it comes sprinting back at him because, yay, you're my owner. You brought me to the dog. And the leash gets caught around his leg, and it broke his leg.
Oh, dang.
Ah! As he's explaining where he got this dog, the dog goes racing. The leash gets tangled up, and
Owie.
Ah! Story is hilarious.
I mentioned my dog stole my peanut butter and banana sandwich, and Box Tossin' Jesus wants to know why my dog likes peanut butter so much. Gross.
What the hell has gotten into our listening audience?
Gross. And wink, wink.
No.
Wink, wink.
All right, what else do I have here? You ever have a problem with the self-checkout gimmick at the grocery store?
Yeah, I've had a issue or two.
Do you flip out? Of course you flip out, right?
And blame everyone around me?
Yeah.
Sure I do. It's always kind of embarrassing because I feel like, well, I'm the idiot holding this up.
Well,
the light goes off. Something happens.
I don't really know how to operate with that fancy schmancy stuff, and I guess the problems I have is when you have some bananas or something, and then you have to.
Oh, yes, try and figure out which code.
How do I do that?
Yeah.
What do I push on the? Okay.
Or it's like, make sure you put it in the bagging area, and it's in the bagging area.
Yeah, I'm in the bagging area. Now I'm outside
in the bagging area.
Here's something for you. This story turns out to be your typical 20 plus 25 fully grown adult meltdown type of a scene, and I always enjoy those stories. It started with an issue at the self-checkout over at a Walmart, Summers. In an attempt to make a long story short, guy comes on up to the self-checkout counter there at Walmart. And the self-checkout thing was acting all glitchy. It priced this item wrong, and then it priced that item wrong. It happens. The Walmart staff hollered at their head computer nerd, and the nerd came over and fixed the problem. But as you might have guessed already, the entitled customer was already running hot at this point because the glitchy self-checkout thing had dared to delay his experience. But here's where the fun kicks in. The douchebag customer then made a very human error. Instead of punching into the register that he was trying to buy 9 avocados, the customer punched in that he was trying to buy 999 avocados. So his bill suddenly shot up to $1,300. And that's when the full-on adult-style temper tantrum cut loose. When a Walmart employee tried to fix the error, the little bitch customer screamed, "Get the F away from me!" And then he called 911 and told the cops that Walmart is trying to rob me. If you live to be 1,000 years old, can you picture a scenario where you would ever act like that?
I don't know. I don't think I'll be like. I've noticed in my life the people that are older, right? They're 70s or whatever, have either calmed down significantly or have gone the other way. Everybody's an idiot. They're hating everybody's out to get them, right?
I suppose it's one way or the other, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I would like to think.
Oh, was this an old person? I did not know this was an...
Oh, I'm just, you asked if I'll ever be that person.
Oh, I see. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, right now I can't imagine it. But and my dad went the way he calmed down. My dad ran hot, like crazy hot. I mean, it didn't take much. He would yell, swear, whatever. He just went nuts. You know, he's kind of one of those guys. Until he got older, he mellowed out. Now, there's other people in my life who've gone the other way. They were relatively reasonable, and now everybody's out to get them.
You can make an educated guess. My educated guess is you'll remain the same character, but...
I'm going to try. I mean, I've got some bad examples that hopefully will point me in the right direction.
But that's how a lot of us are today. We piss our pants first, we ask questions later. So this customer dude demanded that Walmart compensate him for his, quote, pain, suffering, and distress. Look, bro, you're the one who effed up and told the register you wanted to buy one short of 1,000 avocados. He was told to leave the store. He refused. The cops rolled up. They put the guy in handcuffs. They took this little bitch to bitch jail.
Unfortunately, people have ruined the pain and suffering thing, haven't they? Anytime somebody, at least for me, I'll eye roll at this point.
Right.
But back in the day, like somebody there'd be a legitimate reason that you can understand. Yeah, that's going to stick with you.
Now,
but
if
the
somebody,
avocado incident of 2025,
pain and suffering, it doesn't apply.
Relax.
That does not apply. You're right. People have ruined. They've taken advantage of that. They've taken advantage of every possible lawsuit
anything
known to man.
Well, once they see the dollar signs, right?
We're just scumbags now. We're just self-absorbed scumbags. And on a side note, I'd say this guy, it serves him right for trying to buy even one of those repulsive avocados.
It doesn't shock me you don't like avocados.
You want some guacamole, Dana? Do you want?
I would love some.
I'll blow my nose into your hand. There you go. There's your guacamole.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what. I challenge you to cover my burrito bowl in what you just said. I bet you barely get anything on there.
I blow out a lung in the process. All right. Let's... This next one, I want a little more time for this one because I think this will be a lot of fun. This is very cubby.
Yeah, let's save this one.
Let's save this one for later. You're a terrific crowd. We got to take a break. We'll come back with some sports here in a few minutes on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
I wouldn't have sex with you if I was starving and your wiener was a ham sandwich.
93X rocks.
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
No TikTok dances. That is different, too. This generation, the fact that people want to get on their phones and show people the most, like, that's embarrassing. You're an adult. Like, be an adult. Like, it's just, like, I can't wrap my head around that. And, like, I get it. Like, you have kids and, like, you want to, like, have fun with your kids. Like, well, like, have fun with your kids in private. You know? That's what I think.
Yeah, you won't catch Cleveland Browns quarterback Joe Flacco doing TikTok dances.
Dang it.
You won't. You might catch him doing, like, say, the Charleston or the Peabody or something from his generation.
He's not going to film it, though.
And he won't film it, no. But you might catch him doing some of the dances from when he was young. For Christ's sake, isn't that guy, didn't he graduate just like 2 years behind me in high school, still playing in the NFL? I love Joe Flacco. I love that he's sticking around. But he won't be doing any TikTok dances. My favorite Joe Flacco story is still a few years ago. He's got 2-3 boys or something like that. A few years ago, he's sitting around the house and he says, yeah, you know, when I played in the Super Bowl, and his oldest kid goes, what? When the hell did you play in the Super Bowl? For who? And he goes, yeah, I played in the friggin' what are you talking about? I played, and he had to put the video on the He had to put the VHS tape into and say, look, that's me. And his kids and his sons are going, that's you?
No, that's not you.
That's not you.
That's a young guy right there.
Jesus. He's like, have a little, you don't believe your old man? He's dealing with regular dad problems. Kids don't believe he was cool ever. You know what I mean? You have a hard time convincing your son more importantly, my godson, do you have a hard time convincing him that at one point or another, Josh, you were cool? You played a guitar, you had a motorcycle, all that stuff.
No, here's the thing. So I've never had enough success to convince him of that. But the one thing and you can back me up if you ever run into him again.
I'll see him around town. I'm sure I will.
I know you'll see him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't believe I was ever in shape. He doesn't buy it. Like, even his mom will say, well, no, that's kind of how we met. We were both, into going to the gym, and he was in shape at one time. And even just yesterday, he brought it up. He's like, no, you weren't. Like,
don't you have any old pictures?
I don't really take pictures. I like to be photographed.
Yeah, I don't have any pictures either.
There's some somewhere, maybe here at the station, but yeah, he will not buy it. He does not believe it at all.
Well, here's the thing. You were in terrific, tip-top cut. You were for a stretch of time. But because it was Josh, you still never took your shirt off.
Yeah, I remember when we went to, I think it was Jamaica, you were making fun of me.
I had to
that.
talk you into taking your shirt off. Everyone else is in the hot tub or whatever at Jamaica. No one's wearing any clothes because we were all young and drunk. And we just looked like your typical pasty Minnesotans. Here comes Josh, who's actually ripped at the time. And he still wouldn't take it. I'm like, take your friggin' shirt off already.
Do it for the rest of us, man.
For God's sake. I mean, you did all this work to get yourself all what's other than cut, yoked. You worked so hard to get yoked, and you still were too shy to take your shirt off.
Josh, were you the kid that at the pool party growing up, you'd be the one wearing the shirt in the pool?
Yeah, but I made up for it by also being the kid that had to plug his nose when he jumped in the water. So then they realized, this kid might be pretty sweet.
Twins got swept in Houston. NBA Finals, Game 5 tonight. We'll cover all this when Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder stop in. For now, we'll take a break and come back with Josh's news report here in a few minutes on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
93X.
Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
Inside the opening 45 seconds. What a goal! Jack McGlynn with that cannon of a left foot.
Never miss a game.
What a start for the United States.
Shot for distance. What a goal!
Never miss a moment.
Exquisite from the San Diegan. Can he finish? Yes, he can! Yeah!
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Nice. 93X.
Nice. We expect that when we encounter somebody who is, dressed as a law enforcement officer, that they are who they say they are. That's probably the last thing somebody is thinking about with an individual that is disguised as a law enforcement officer, that somehow this person might pose a threat.
The largest manhunt in Minnesota history has come to an end. Authorities apprehended the 57-year-old man suspected in the killings of a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband and the shooting of a state senator and his wife. He was found armed and crawling through a Sibley County field last night, where he surrendered to law enforcement amid a heavy presence of drones and SWAT teams. The suspect posed as a police officer before fatally shooting Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark in their Brooklyn Park home early Saturday. Just prior, he shot and wounded State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette at their Champlin residence about 9 miles away. Their adult daughter, Hope, was also home at the time. According to family members, Yvette shielded Hope with her own body during the attack.
647, code is 3 in Champlin. Stand by on a possible GSW.
Authorities believe the suspect wore a realistic rubber or latex old man mask and a fake police uniform while driving a vehicle outfitted with emergency lights. A chilling FBI photo was released that shows him dressed as an officer approaching one of the homes. They shared a photo taken Saturday of the suspect wearing a tan cowboy hat after fleeing on foot following an exchange of gunfire with police at the Hortman's home.
The shooter is still in the house. They believe barricaded.
When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Law enforcement also issued a warning to other elected officials after discovering the suspect left behind a manifesto naming about 70 public figures as targets. The list included abortion providers and pro-choice politicians, aligning with the apparent political motive of the attacks.
They found a manifesto, if you will, from this shooter. And so they actively sent squads to other lawmakers in the metro to make sure that they were okay. And frankly, we're, I guess, grateful at this point that no one else was shot if there was a long list of people on this person's manifesto.
Then around 6 a.m., the suspect reportedly sent a farewell text to friends.
I mean, he was a loving, caring guy, loved his family, loved his friends, and loved God. And I don't know why he did what he did. It's not Vance. No one will believe this. No one that grew up. He had lots of friends, trust me. I wish I could have been there to stop him.
Later that morning, a vehicle carrying his wife and 3 relatives was stopped near Onamia. Law enforcement found a weapon, ammunition, cash, and passports in her car.
There was a traffic stop at a convenience store near Onamia. Between 10 and 11 a.m. this morning, law enforcement made a traffic stop involving a vehicle carrying several relatives of Vance Belter, including his wife.
The attacks come amid a troubling trend of violence against public officials across the political spectrum in recent years, including, of course, the attempted shooting of President Trump.
What the hell can you even say about this kind of stuff, Josh? It's just disgusting, tragic. I don't understand what we're doing anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, obviously, that's not how you settle your political differences.
Nope.
Thank God, that some people survived this and that he didn't go after more people. But, yeah, I mean, like you said, what do you say to something like that?
It's
horribly disgusting.
It's just become too much.
In today's edition of With Friends Like These, we take a late-night leap into larceny gone lethally wrong due to no coordination among thieves. A botched burglary turned into a tragic twist straight out of a crime dark comedy. According to the LA County Sheriff's Department, just before 2 a.m. Thursday, deputies dashed over to a reported break-in at a home just beyond the bright lights of LA. When they arrived, they found a man dead from a gunshot wound. Detectives discovered about 20 minutes earlier, 5 felons, all dressed in black, had broken into a home. But their spree was cut short when someone inside spooked them, and the gang took off. During their frantic escape, one of the would-be robbers whipped around and fired a shot back toward the house. But unfortunately for him, and very unfortunately for his friend, the bullet struck a member of his own crew.
Dang. That guy was the one who was dead on scene.
Yeah. I mean, at least it was one of the bad guys, but...
What's the term again? The phrase is you play...
Stupid games.
Yeah. And you win stupid prizes. Yeah, there you go.
A burglar was arrested after being found in the basement of a northern Minnesota home, naked. Nice. While having a naked stranger in your home may be a dream come true after a successful night at the bar. When they're uninvited, naked for no reason and hiding, burying their balls in your basement, that's more of a nightmare. The incident was reported at 5 a.m. Friday, with the naked intruder fleeing before police arrived. A perimeter was set up by the Polk County Sheriff's Office, East Grand Forks PD, and Minnesota State Patrol, who found a vehicle abandoned in a ditch a short time later. The suspect managed to stay on the run for most of the day, but his streak, pun intended, came to an end around 4:40 p.m. when he was found near a creek. The 45-year-old man was taken to the Northwest Regional Correctional Center, where he was finally given something to wear, a jail uniform, until his court date.
Wasn't the best weather to be naked on the run here the last few days?
No, it was quite chilly, you're right.
Yeah, not the best weather for
Not complimentary to gentlemen.
No.
Just before midnight on Wednesday, police were called to the Murphy gas station in Tillman's Corner, Alabama. When they got there, they found 31-year-old Brett Kraft on the roof, armed with a machete and some pee-pee.
Pee-pee?
Officers tried to talk him down, but he wasn't having it. As the standoff dragged on, reinforcements stepped in, including fire rescue, mental health counselors, canine units, and the SWAT team. But despite their efforts, Kraft still wouldn't come down.
And he's got pee-pee.
Yes. And then he took that pee-pee.
Yeah.
It was in a bottle, and he threw it at firefighters.
Threatening officers, bodily harm towards our officers. There was a bottle of urine that the subject did throw down at the firefighters on scene.
Eventually...
Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Was the cap on at least, do we know?
They didn't say. Eventually, officers made their way onto the roof. By then, Kraft no longer had the machete, but when a SWAT officer approached, he charged at him and hit him in the face. That officer had to be hospitalized. He had a broken nose and some other facial injuries. Now recovering.
Got him square, huh?
Yeah, he hit him good. Other officers finally managed to get Kraft down safely, but it wasn't the happy ending Kraft is used to. He's now facing charges including assault with bodily fluids, and criminal mischief.
Assault with bodily fluids.
Yeah.
That's an ugly charge.
A 47-year-old man is in deep doo-doo after he literally blew up a toilet in a Pittsburgh casino. Not the popular phrase for packing a powerful poop. He literally blew it up.
Why did he do that?
I don't know. I guess he had some fireworks and thought this might be fun. Jeremy Hartman was at Rivers Casino about 5:40 a.m. June 8th when security detained him for trespassing in a closed restaurant and attempting to steal up to $4,000 worth of alcohol. While being escorted to a secure area, he asked to use the restroom. Security allowed him to use an employee bathroom, but instead of just answering nature's call, he ignited the Pittsburgh potty into a porcelain powder keg. Authorities say Hartman lit a commercial-grade firework and placed it in the toilet, causing a loud explosion, which injured an unfortunate casino employee who just tried to take a dump.
Ah, for God's sake.
Police later found Hartman's car in the casino garage and discovered more fireworks inside. As a precaution, they called in the bomb squad and a canine unit to search the garage and casino, but no other explosives were found.
What a friggin' moron.
Fortunately, the worker sustained only minor injuries.
I've got some fireworks. What the hell are you, a 9-year-old? Yeah, fireworks, yay.
A fiery feud turned 4-alarm cluster F in Bradenton last Monday night when a 38-year-old Florida woman was literally burning with rage. Natasha Killebrew was arrested after turning her current flames car into a bonfire. Police responded to the scene and found a Nissan Altima fully engulfed in flames, parked dangerously close to an apartment building, which was nearly caught on fire. When officers arrived, Killebrew told them the car belonged to her boyfriend, and the two lived together in a nearby apartment.
They had a little tiff going on?
I guess.
Had to burn his car down?
She gets pretty pissed pretty easily. At first, she denied having anything to do with the fire, but according to police, her story quickly changed. She eventually admitted to tossing a lit cigarette near the car and then claimed she had doused both herself and the car in cooking oil before setting it on fire.
Cooking oil?
Thankfully, I hadn't heard that one before.
No.
Thankfully, no one was hurt, but unfortunately, the police report didn't suggest what may have triggered her actions.
I wonder if he got a little something on the side, you know what I'm saying?
It's got to be something like that, right? Or he got a text she wasn't approving of. A 65-year-old woman was caught on video driving her SUV onto a walking path in Palm Coast, Florida, chasing a teenager on an e-bike because she wanted to talk to his parents about his dangerous speed. Hey, we got to be safe around here.
She thought he was going too fast on his e-bike.
Yeah, too dangerous. That's why she chased him on this walking and biking path. The incident happened June 7th. Started with a 911 call from a concerned driver who saw the SUV veer off the road onto a multi-use trail meant for pedestrians and cyclists. The boy's girlfriend, who was in a separate car behind him, recorded the whole thing. The video shows the SUV barreling down the path, following the 14-year-old for nearly a full minute. At times, there was about 6 to 10 feet between them. Witnesses say the teen was frantically waving at passing cars, clearly trying to get help.
There's this lady trying to hit me.
The man who called 911 ended up pulling his car in front of the SUV at an intersection, cutting her off and putting a stop to the chase. The teen got away and later told his parents what happened, and they reported it to police. When deputies spoke to the woman behind the wheel, she admitted to chasing the boy. She said she was upset and how fast he was riding his e-bike.
What the hell's the matter with you?
And she wanted to find out where he lived so she could talk to his parents about public safety.
That's normal behavior.
The teen, understandably shaken, said he feared for his life, adding she kept yelling like a crazy person, tried to cut him off, and came dangerously close to hitting him.
She was chasing me home, which was a very traumatic experience because I wasn't expecting that at all because I felt safe in both my friend's community and on that bike path.
This woman created a dangerous situation with her reckless and aggressive behavior, said Sheriff Rick Staley. She could have seriously injured or even killed not just the child she was chasing, but anyone else using that trail, he said. Under Florida law, e-bikes are allowed wherever regular bicycles can go, including bike lanes and multi-use paths.
Man, Grandma just wasn't having it.
No. She wanted to step in and be what she thought, I guess, was the voice of reason there.
Kid probably had one of those cool-ass, fat-tire, like BMX-looking e-bikes like you were telling us about last week.
I just saw a kid over the weekend with one, and I was very jealous.
F me, those things are cool.
He also had cool hair. Jealous of that, too. Dog attacks.
You can even take some bad hair,
at this point, sure. Dog attacks on U.S. postal workers hit a 7-year high in 2024, with 6,088 incidents reported, a 5% increase over the previous year and up 15% from 2022.
Is that just because we have everything delivered to our homes now?
It could be partly that, and also they say how many dogs are in the U.S. There's just so many dogs.
We've got a lot of dogs?
Yeah. Leading the pack were states in the Midwest.
I see where you were going with that, sure.
When adjusted for the number of households, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and Ohio had the highest rates in the country, about 5.24 attacks for every 100,000 households, roughly 75% higher than the rate in the South. On a city level, Minneapolis nearly cracked the top 10, landing in the 11th spot. Spot, by the way, once a top dog name which peaked in the 1940s.
Yeah, that hasn't been a really hip name for dogs for a long, long time.
Except in Alaska.
In Alaska?
Spot is the most popular dog name this year.
Yeah, they're too cold to come up with something better.
Yeah, they're kind of slow to catch up on things, too.
In Minnesota, Luna is the most popular dog name.
Luna.
Name trends aside, the number of postal workers getting bit by dogs reflect a growing concern, the post office said. They have a dog bite awareness campaign, which highlights just how dangerous the encounters can be, from chases and bites to assaults and, in rare but tragic incidents, fatalities.
Jesus.
In response, the USPS has implemented a series of precautions aimed at reducing risk, including dog interaction protocols, training in the use of repellent spray, and using mail bags as makeshift shields.
God dang, it's come to that, huh?
I guess.
I thought that was just kind of in cartoons and stuff. I didn't realize it was such an actual real problem.
Yeah, the rivalry, but that was the old joke.
Uh-huh.
While today's challenges involve keeping carriers safe from canine encounters, the Postal Service has faced some unusual delivery dilemmas over the years. In fact, just last Friday, it marked 105 years since one of the strangest policies in U.S. postal history came to an end.
What's that now?
When on June 13th, 1920, the post office officially ruled children could no longer be sent by parcel post.
Oh, no.
It's tough fitting a kid in an envelope. Soon after parcel post began in 1913, an Ohio couple famously mailed, quote-unquote, their 8-month-old son James to his grandmother a few miles away.
They really did that?
Yeah. He weighed just under the 11-pound limit, and the delivery cost about 15 cents and then $50 in insurance.
That's hilarious.
The story
They put a kid in a box somehow.
I think, it's kind of confusing. I was trying to figure this out.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know if they put him like in a bag. It was confusing. But I'll explain in a second. That story, of course, made headlines, and similar cases popped up for years. One of the most famous occurred in 1914 when 4-year-old Charlotte May was, quote, mailed 73 miles by train to her grandparents' home in Idaho. Her tale inspired the children's book Mailing May. Thankfully, she wasn't tossed in with packages. She was escorted by a relative who worked for the railway mail service. So she was just put on a train. Those incidents continued as rural postal workers occasionally looked the other way until the post office finally banned that practice for good.
That is something.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
It's hilarious.
Why is that bag squirming?
Is that crying? Do I hear crying?
Actor John Cho turns 53 today. Golfer Phil Mickelson, 55. Airline manager Jesus texting a good luck shout out to his wife on her way to being induced with their baby girl. That's some exciting news right there.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, congratulations to you both, and please welcome her to the sisterhood when she gets here. Comic book geek Jesus shouting out his amazing wife for taking him to Mexico City this week to see AEW wrestling.
Oh,
Nick.
that's awesome.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
What a great trip.
And then, of course, happy birthday to Dana's mom.
Ah.
Yeah, hope she has a great one. And that's 93X News.
Randy Shaver.
There's always something new with him. He's an embarrassment to himself. This guy's, he comes around this community. He thinks he runs in here.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Mauricio drives one deep to left field. Back goes Castro near the wall, and he can't make the play. Doobie! Mauricio Dubon spikes the helmet. Back-to-back walk-offs for the Astros, 2-1. Doobie with a big swing.
Yeah, that sucked. Randy Shaver, Brad Ryder.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on? Remember last week after their first loss, after the Twins' first loss in the Texas series, I said, this feels like the beginning of some dark days for the Twins.
Yeah. Yep.
And they lost that first game like 14-3. Then they won the game in the middle because Byron Buxton had basically an all-star appearance. And then they lost the third game, which is like 14-3. And now it turns out I was right again. I didn't want to be right, but now they were swept in Houston. They lost in 10 innings. They didn't do much damage at all weekend long against Houston's pitching staff, which I understand is very good, and I get that. But they blew the game. I mean, it was a 1-0 lead going into the ninth, and now we got the injuries again.
Yep.
Did Buxton play yesterday?
I don't think he did.
I don't think, no, he wasn't in the starting lineup, I know.
Royce Lewis certainly didn't play yesterday.
No, he's got a hamstring again. He's on the 7-day DL.
All right.
I mean,
yeah.
If it wasn't for a guy like Brooks Lee, who's actually playing very well right now, and the fact that Correa's in the lineup, which is a good thing.
Sure.
I mean, they're piecing it together. Their pitching staff, they're piecing it together.
Who started yesterday?
Simeon Woods Richardson.
Simeon Woods, Richardson.
Hey man, I mean, you had a 1-0 lead going into the ninth inning. Okay, go ahead.
So, I mean, they're back to piecing things together, and we'll see how long that lasts. They've fallen to 9 games behind the Tigers in the division. It's too early to worry about that kind of thing, but it's not a good sign that. And again, I don't think they're going to make any moves. It just doesn't feel like they are out there trying to figure out what we're going to do with our starting pitching staff. We're just going to let it ride. So
Lewis hurt himself again running to first base.
Yes, he did.
Friday
Same thing.
Friday.
Hamstring.
Yeah. Mild. It's been called mild. If that means anything to anybody.
I don't know if.
Well, not many hamstring injuries are completely healed within 7 days.
Right.
Those type of things tend to linger, so that's concerning.
It's the same hamstring that kept him out of the beginning of the season.
Right.
And this is a quote from Royce Lewis after the game. He said, "I'm tired of being the one that's getting bullied and picked on by this game." I think he was joking around a little bit. But
get a better hammy, bro.
Where do you go get a better hamstring?
I don't know, but there's got to be something. Medical advances in 2025.
Daddy Magic Jesus said it should be called the Minnesota Twinjuries.
Twinjuries?
I haven't heard that before. That's good.
Well, this just sucks.
Well, it's too bad for Lewis because he was playing pretty well in the month of June. He was off. He was getting out of that slump and hitting the ball much better, and it's just. These aren't injuries where he's diving for a ball.
No.
These aren't injuries where he's, running from first to third and he's like barreling.
No.
This is running to first base.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
It's a mystery. It's mind-boggling. It's a damn shame. And it's how do you say it? It's business as usual for the Twins, unfortunately, with especially Buxton and Lewis. So
yeah,
they have a day off today. Everyone's in the friggin' ice tub, I would imagine. And tomorrow night they start a 3-game series in Cincinnati.
Oh.
But things are not looking so great right now for the Twins. By the end of the month, if this means anything to anybody, by the end of the month, for the first time in 5 years, the Twins will be playing on ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball, which used to be a big deal for me.
It did, yeah.
When John Miller and Joe Morgan were calling Sunday Night Baseball, and, of course, when you couldn't find any game, any time on your television.
Right, that's correct.
This was the one featured, for a long stretch of time, this was the one featured national game on ESPN. I really loved watching Sunday Night Baseball. A little different now. I mean, I'll still pick up on it now and again. But as you guys know, almost every Sunday, it's Yankees, Red Sox, or Dodgers, Mets. They don't mix up the matchups very often, and that troubles me. Twins, Tigers. Unfortunately, it's not here at Target Field. It's being played at Comerica Park. Sunday the 29th.
It's hard to avoid not having the Tigers on a game like that.
Well,
yeah, they're a great club, and hell, like I said, they're not the Yankees, they're not the Red Sox. I'll watch it. I'll watch that ball.
So you're talking about June 29th, which is over 2 weeks away from right now.
Yeah, where are they going to be?
The Twins could be. They could be 20 games out of first place.
The way things are looking right now, I hope it's not just brutally ugly by June 29th.
And the Tigers are just running away with the division right now, as of right now.
So there you go. Yeah, man. John Miller and Joe Morgan were such a great combination. They're both gone, aren't they? I know Joe Morgan is gone, but is John Miller?
I'm not sure.
John Miller, when he wasn't doing national games, did he not work for the San Diego Padres? I can't remember.
I think he was with the Orioles.
That's right. Someone find out if old John Miller's still around.
Looks like he is, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
73.
Trouble with the Twinnies. What's new? Like I said, business as usual. Injuries and patchwork going on over there. Randy Shaver and I should take a few minutes to thank the town of Maple Lake for their
you survived.
For their hospitality on Saturday when the both of us went out for some town ball and to help raise some money for the Randy Shaver Cancer Research Fund. I got to throw out some first pitches. I wiped out. You guys, do you wear...
In your defense, the mound was wet.
Yeah, there were 4 inches of rain.
You really did wipe out?
Yeah.
That sucks.
But you know what? You got to give those guys credit for even playing. I mean, they had to cancel the noon game because they couldn't get the field ready, but they squeegeed that outfield and that infield from like 6 in the morning until late morning, early afternoon, so that they could get 2 games in, which is remarkable when you think about all the rain we've had. So,
do you guys know what dude shoes are?
Yeah. I thought you had some of those.
I do.
Hey Dude, yeah.
Or are they Hey Dude?
I think it's called Hey Dude.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm wrong, I guess.
Here's a pair of them right here. I got a spare pair. Dude. Oh, no, it says Hey Dude. You're right. They're very casual, slip-on. I inherited 2 pairs of Hey Dude shoes when my dad checked out. They belonged to him. And I wore a pair of Hey Dude shoes to this ball game out in Maple Lake to throw out the first pitch. They do not have the type of soles that grip after 5 inches of rain has fallen on a baseball field. So when Randy Shaver just lobbed it. Randy, I don't know why, kind of like we were talking about when Josh was younger and he was all in shape, he still wouldn't take his shirt off. Randy Shaver, here you are working so hard to keep yourself in shape. When it comes time for a first pitch, why do you lob it? Let him see what you got.
Give him the heater, Randy.
The number one goal for me was at least get it to home plate. So I wasn't going to try to throw it super hard because I realized it would be a Bob Uecker moment, just a bit outside. So
I put some.
You put some mustard on it.
Some piss and vinegar behind it, and when I planted my left front foot, she went weep, and so then I kind of just spiked it into the.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, we got to see a couple 4 or 5 innings of. It was Howard Lake, the Orphans.
The Kimball.
and the Kimball Express. We got to watch quite a bit of their ball game, and that is really fun baseball to watch.
It is fun baseball. I mean, most Minnesotans know about town ball. Most of them know what it is and where they can go watch it. But it is a summer tradition in Minnesota, and it is good baseball. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's different ages. And, you're talking about guys in their 40s and 50s and kids in their late teens, and it's just you're never going to get a huge crowd. It's never going to be. It's not like going to a Twins game or anything, but it's just nice, fun baseball to bring your kids, your family. Yeah, it was
high school sports are a big deal in those small towns, as I know. But that kind of town ball in the summertime is kind of the replacement peg for high school sports in the summertime. It gives people something to go out and do and represent their hometown, and it is kind of like the thing. I grew up around it too, and actually played it for a little bit, and it doesn't take on the same. Not that there aren't good town ball teams here in the metro, but out in those smaller towns, it is kind of like a high school type of atmosphere event. Yeah.
Somebody sent in a picture of you and a couple of Maple Lakers, Nick, and they've got their fists out ready to punch you.
I don't remember that. Send that to me.
It's from Banging Dents, Not Chicks, Jesus.
Oh, man. Nick, I will say this, though. I did see some photos. You may have made the wrong choice of footwear, but the jersey you've had on, the old Twins powder blue jersey, looked really, really sharp.
My old Burt Blyleven jersey. So, when I drove into town, and as a lot of you know, I mean, the reason why it's a big deal that I went to Maple Lake was that 30-some years ago, the entire town turned on me and beat me unmerciful at a street fight. I mean, a street dance. Okay? When I drove into town, Randy Shaver, I was kind of looking around and, waiting to maybe have some kind of a flashback. Because I don't quite remember where we were when all hell broke loose there. I did not have that flashback.
But there aren't many streets where they could have a street dance, so I'm assuming it's fairly easy to figure out.
The boys told me it must have been a little closer to downtown than where we were at the ballpark.
Sure.
But a lot of folks, made comments about that, a couple of fun jokes back and forth. We met some very nice people, some listeners.
You actually met the mayor.
And I met the mayor of Maple Lake.
That was awesome. Thank you for sending that picture, Randy. That was very cool.
Mayor Lynn Kissock, I'm not sure exactly how to say it. She stopped by. And I forgot what she said.
Did she offer you?
She welcomed him to the city.
Yeah,
an official apology, maybe something like that.
Well, I didn't expect that from her because when I got my ass whooped there, she was probably 7 years old.
Maybe they gave you a plot of land somewhere.
But it was really cool to meet the mayor, and all hard feelings are now squashed between myself and Maple Lake.
It was a big Saturday.
It was.
Let bygones be bygones.
Absolutely. Yeah, I asked her. I said, are you from here? And she said, no. I said, okay, well then, I can't assume that, any members of your family were in on the beating or anything like that. Very nice gal. We had a fun experience. And, I'd like to go see some more town ball before the summer is over. Speaking of pitching, Shohei Ohtani will make his return to pitching tonight in a game against the San Diego Padres.
Well, watch early because he's only going to pitch like an inning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the opener for the Dodgers tonight. So.
And word is that's going to be their gimmick here for a while with Shohei. He's coming off of a second surgery on his ulnar collateral ligament. So they're going to do this with him for a few games where he opens the game one inning and then they do the bullpen thing.
Yep.
All right. Is that exciting for you to watch the man?
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting to have him back, sure. The Dodgers have had so many pitchers put on the IL that they probably need him in some ways, too. So.
What is this now? Skateboard Pete Jesus. Hey, Nick, you may be okay with Maple Lake, but don't you dare come to Coon Rapids. We are waiting for. Oh, I have been. Yeah.
You say a lot of bad things about Coon Rapids.
I do, mainly because our gal Ashley, who's out sick this morning, she's not feeling well. I I question her decision to buy her first home there. Yes. So Coon Rapids is waiting on me now. I don't know if you want to even bother with this. We hear it, maybe not every year, but every couple. High-profile Major League Baseball player believes the league is manipulating baseballs to ensure that they don't travel as far. And that would be Pittsburgh.
The dead ball era? That kind of thing?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Pittsburgh Pirates designated hitter Andrew McCutchen said that baseballs being used in 20 and 25 are different and do not travel as far as previous ones. He's blaming higher seams on the baseball, which produces more drag.
Well, he's right about the theory. I'm not sure he's right about that they're doing it.
Yeah. That of course, big fat laces is gonna slow down the baseball a little bit. He says he asked someone at the league office, and he was told, every baseball is hand sewn, so no ball is the same. When he asked someone at the league office if something can be done about correcting the current performance of this year's baseballs, he was told there was nothing that can be done about it this season, but they're working hard on getting to the bottom of the situation by next season.
So they're acknowledging that there's something going on with the baseballs.
That's what Andrew McCutchen says.
If that's what they're saying, then they're acknowledging that there's a discussion or an issue. So.
When Josh was a kid, everyone in the neighborhood called him Mr. Baseball. You want to tell everyone why, Josh?
Because of the stitches in my face.
After the ball landed there?
No, because he was beaten on. He was...
See, baseballs have stitches.
Yeah.
Emo Phillips.
When Emo Phillips dumped that joke on us about 20 years ago, we lost it in studio. Do you guys, do you like watching sports? When I was a kid. I'm trying to do my Emo Phillips. We kind of miss Emo around here.
Yeah, it's been here in a while.
All right, so now the Colorado Rockies have come up with the worst record after 70 games played.
Well, they're definitely on pace.
At least the worst record since 18 and 99.
Yeah.
We love talking about the Cleveland Spiders around here. We do.
Yeah.
The Rockies have the fewest wins through 70 games since the 1899 Cleveland Spiders. And I don't know how they did yesterday. How did they do yesterday?
They won yesterday.
They did? Okay.
I think the White Sox won only 41 games last year, or 43, something like that. So they're definitely on pace.
They're on pace for, I think, 32 or 33 wins.
That's amazing. Good Lord.
And also on Saturday, they lost to the Atlanta Braves on Saturday, so you say they won yesterday. They made more history by setting a franchise record for this really happened. The Twins didn't top this last year, because remember last year they just struck out over and over and over again?
Yeah.
They made franchise history Saturday by striking out 19 times in a 9-inning game.
Yeah, the Twins did not do that a year ago, but
right.
They were close a few times.
I knew that they were close.
Yeah. How about the trade with the Red Sox yesterday?
All right, well, go ahead with that. The Red Sox and Giants.
I mean, normally you don't see a big deal like this made in June just because teams wait to the trading deadline to do this, but a couple of factors. First of all, Rafael Devers, great hitter, moved to the DH role when they signed Bergman. Not happy, said he wouldn't play first base when Casillas got hurt. There's been friction between himself and the organization. So they trade him to the Giants, who are off to a great start, playing well, but could use a hitter in the middle of that lineup. They get 4 players back in return, 2 pitchers, one's a starter, one's a bullpen. A great prospect, actually 2 really good prospects, but the outfield prospect is really good. But they pull the trigger, and both teams, it's not like one team is not in playoff contention. They both are. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Red Sox are, as we all know, the American League East, a very tough division. They're a game over 500, but they're still very much in the chase. So for these 2 teams to pull off a trade like this is pretty remarkable, actually.
Well, and this far away from the trade deadline, too. I think I brought this up last week. I mean, it's really tough for teams to make trades before the end of July because one team or the other will say, well, we're going to wait it out. We're going to wait it out and not, make that deal until we know we have to make it. So to have something like this happen, even the timing of it is a little surprising.
Well, this is Buster Posey, the GM for the Giants, deciding we're going to do something now. And also, I was reading last night, it's also the Red Sox kind of feeling more like a middle market team than a big market team. They dumped a big salary, they dumped a lot of money in Devers, and it just, they did this with Mookie Betts a few years ago, right? So it just kind of feels like this could be different, obviously, because Devers was not happy in Boston. But it's a trade that could benefit actually both teams, but certainly the Giants get the better end of it right now.
Devers was acting like a dick. He, like you were saying, when they went and got Alex Bregman, he said, "Well, what about me? I play third base." And they said, "Well, you can be the designated hitter." And he says, "I don't want to be the designated." They said,
"Well, he was also hurt
a
little bit, Nick, coming in spring training, so there was a little bit of that too." But it's not like he sat around and pouted. He's having a really good year with the bat.
He's on my
good hitter.
He's on my fantasy baseball team.
Nobody cares about your fantasy baseball team. I had to drop that in there.
I know that he wasn't happy early in the year. Like literally the first week of the season, there was a lot of stories out about how he was complaining about this and that. So Randy's right. Yeah.
All right.
But
he's probably causing some clubhouse issues.
Didn't affect the way he played at the plate. So
no.
All right. Saturday, catchers, both of these guys, brothers and catchers, Wilson and Willem Contreras.
Yeah.
Became only the second pair of brothers in baseball's modern era. So since 1900 or something. They're only the second pair of brothers in baseball's modern era to go yard in the same inning as opponents.
Churio going back at the wall. That's gone. Oh, and Contreras looks back toward the Brewer bench. A big insurance home run for the Cardinals, who extend their lead. It's 8-4. And Contreras turns this one around. Fair or foul. It is hooking. It is a fair ball. And William matches Wilson with ninth-inning home runs.
Yeah, both in the ninth inning. So they're brothers. They both play catcher for opposite clubs, one for St. Louis, one for Milwaukee. And they went dong-ski in the same inning as opponents. It's only happened once before. The last time, 1933. Who were these guys? Rick and Wes Farrell. Rick was playing for the Boston Red Sox. Farrell was playing for the Cleveland Indians.
I remember it well.
Yes, you do. July 19th, 1933. And Rick's home run came off of Wes.
Oh. Some bragging rights back home.
Yeah.
How about this? You should be able to come up with this, I think. The last brother teammates to homer in the same inning. It was only last season. The last brother teammates to homer in the same inning happened last April. Think same division as the Twin Skis. Think a couple times this morning we've said Cleveland.
The Nailers.
The Nailers.
Yeah, Cleveland. When they both were in Cleveland, Josh is no longer there. Yes.
Bo and Hot Mom Naylor. What's the other one's
Mom.
What's the other one's name? Bo and who?
Bo and Josh. Josh is now with Arizona.
NBA Finals, Game 5 tonight. Pacers at Thunders, 7:30 on Channel 5. Ooh. Tied. The series is tied. It's the pivotal Game 5. Randy Chamber.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Cannot wait for this game tonight. Nick and I were talking about this on Saturday at the ball game at Maple Lake. Mm-hmm. The intensity that both teams bring on the defensive end, full court, it's mind-blowing to watch these two teams play.
We've talked about it all series. It's been great.
The only way you can do this is you have depth in your roster to be able to play 9, 10 guys, because you cannot do this with 7 or 8 guys. Cannot play like this. But both of these teams are just after each other. It is so much fun to watch.
How do these guys
you got to watch. I mean, it's a must-watch game because
it
the way
is must-watch.
And they might get to a Game 7, and that might obviously be really good as well. But Game 7s are a little bit weird. Teams get nervous and think they're going to go after it tonight. It's going to be fun.
It makes you wonder how these guys can sprint up and down the floor, changing directions and jumping and running, and then Royce Lewis's hamstring gives way.
Jogging to first base.
It should be a great game, and this game might determine the series, of course. Game 5s with a tied series. It's the winner of Game 5 has great results historically in playoff series like this.
Well, OKC won Game 4 in Indiana to even the series, and I thought if Indiana wins that game, it's over. They're not good. They're going to win one of the last 3 for sure. Now this thing is completely wide open, and probably the momentum with OKC coming back home. But Indiana's proven they can win there too. So it's to me, it's not even the score. It's just the all-out intensity of how they're playing, and the fact that they don't rely on threes, the fact that they get to the basket, there's hard fouls, both teams. It's just so much fun to watch. It really is.
The key to tonight for the Indiana Pacers is the same as it's always been for the Indiana Pacers. Detlef Schrempf.
Dale Davis and Detlef Schrempf.
Charles Barkley says he's going to get a tattoo in Oklahoma City if the Thunders win the NBA Finals.
Okay. Well, there's plenty of room to find a place for a tattoo.
Oh!
What?
He's a big guy.
You're saying there's a lot of space on Charles.
There's space there, sure.
Yeah.
He's never had a tattoo.
Charles isn't tatted. He doesn't have any tats.
Doesn't have any.
No.
It's just down to me and him. We're the only 2 guys that don't have a tattoo.
There's a lot of real estate on that figure.
Yes.
You know the gimmick because it's been done here. A television station in Oklahoma City reported that a local tattoo artist has been doing free tattoos throughout the playoffs.
Oh, sure.
Each round of the postseason, he does a tattoo. Fans can come in and yay, Thunder, and all that, like we've had here with the Nas Reed tattoos. Okay, so local television station talked about this tattoo artist by the name of Taylor Freeman, and Charles heard about it. And then ahead of Friday's Game 4 that Randy was just talking about, Charles was on television on a pregame show, and he said, another announcer challenged him, someone by the name of Jared Greenberg. Said, Charles, with all these free tattoos going around, why don't you get one? It didn't take too much for Charles to agree. He said he's been planning on getting a tattoo of his 2 grandchildren's names anyway. He's been planning on that. So he said, why not? I've never had a tattoo before. But then this Greenberg guy said, well, the deal is they give you a Thunder, an Oklahoma City Thunder tattoo. And he said, no, I won't do that. But he will allow this tattoo artist to put his grandchildren's names on his body.
Well, that's good.
Great publicity for the shop if he goes through with it.
Sure, for sure. Yeah.
I like this side note from Charles. He said, some of these fools be getting women's names put on them, and then they break up like idiots.
Who would do that?
Do you know anyone who's done that?
Dana's done that.
I have my ex-wife's initials tattooed on my ring finger.
Oh. I like that. Some of these fools be getting women's names put on them. Yeah. One of my uncles, my God, I think he's got 2 or 3 that he had to have crossed out. He was like 18 and he got married and he put her name on his shoulder and it was over, in a week or 2.
Just a long list all the way down the arm.
Oh, man. Do you guys know anybody with the ladies' names on the... Huh?
No.
No.
No. Just Dana.
I don't have any on me either.
Her initials.
Yeah.
Well, have you done anything about it?
I'm in the process of getting it removed. It takes a while.
You didn't just want to ask your current wife to change her initials?
Yeah.
I was going to say, now, whose idea was that? Was that your idea to get it removed, or was it your current wife's?
It was her idea. She wasn't not too fond of it, and I agree.
Yeah,
I wanted to do it too, but yeah, she definitely kind of got the ball rolling on it.
Remember Yes, go ahead.
The initials are HB, and my buddy said, we'll just add O and Max, so you have an HBO Max tattoo.
Yeah, maybe you get a free streaming service out of the deal.
This guy friggin' loves HBO.
Yeah, he's a fan.
Remember that scene from Cheers when Cliff and Norm got real drunk, and the next morning they come into the bar and they sit down and they're going through their pockets. They couldn't remember anything from the prior night.
Yeah.
And Cliff says, well, go through your pockets. And they found a receipt for a donut shop and a topless bar or something. And then one of the receipts was a tattoo shop. Neither one of them says a word. They both touch their own shoulders. Then they both, I think, where do they go next? Like, yeah, they touch their own shoulders. Like, okay, I'm good there. I don't feel any pain there. Then they both touch their own ass cheeks. And I think Cliff says to Norm, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. The latest, gentlemen, in the Durantula trade saga.
Yeah.
We're up to like chapter 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Kind of ready for this one to be over.
It's gonna be over because he doesn't want to be here. So,
according to this person and that person, the 3 clubs that he prefers to be traded to are the Miami Heat, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Houston Rockets. Those are apparently the 3 teams that he would commit to long term.
Yep. Yeah, Wolves are not in that conversation.
How about the latest trade rumor in general for the Timberwolves? Would you like me to throw that at you?
Sure.
Yeah, which is what?
Stupid. This one's stupid. Brad Ryder, by the way, last week, I don't know if you were on when we had these conversations, but Randy Shaver, we all agreed that we'd be okay with the Durantula for Gobert, DiVincenzo, and Dillingham. Were you part of that conversation at all?
Run the trade by me again. Sorry.
So you weren't part of the conversation last week. It was the Durant. You've heard of Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
The trade talks go.
Yes.
For Rudy Gobert, Dante DiVincenzo, and Wally Dillingham, the little point guard.
No.
Well, they might do it whether you like it or not.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. They don't have to have Brad sign off on a trade.
Brad, would you do it if they threw in Grayson Allen?
Oh yeah, Grayson Allen.
Sure. Oh, that tips the scales for me. No, I'm kidding. No. I don't want any part of Durant. I don't.
I hear you. Yeah, you made that clear. Okay.
Well, it sounds like he doesn't want any part of being here, so it doesn't sound like it's something that's on the horizon.
I didn't know if that exact trade package would change your mind. Okay, this is terrible. This is terrible. But this is a rumor that I saw over the weekend.
Okay.
Timberwolves making a trade for Darius Garland, point guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I like him.
Yeah, so do I.
I like that a lot better.
Yeah, but you're not going to like who we have to give up. Mike Jr., DiVincenzo, and Jaden McDaniels.
Ooh. Not Jaden McDaniels.
No, not Jaden McDaniels.
There's nobody.
That's the key to that for Cleveland. Yeah.
No.
We mentioned this last week. There's nobody that we would trade if it means Jaden McDaniels leaves town.
Yeah. I mean, DiVincenzo's in a lot of these conversations. I'm sure that doesn't make him feel good. Mike Conley is a veteran player who's been around the block. His time in the league is short, so him being a part of conversations like this is probably to be expected. But I would never, no way am I trading Jaden McDaniels. Just no way. No way.
Yeah.
Part of these trades in the NBA too, the tricky part is that you have to have, when I say the money match, all the salaries almost have to come close to matching. So there's certain guys who are going to get mentioned time and time again in these trades, and because of that, a guy like DiVincenzo and Conley are going to get mentioned because Conley's making a decent amount of money. So if you're going to get somebody of quality back who is also making a lot of money, you've got to give up the salary too. Yeah.
I love Garland. I think he would be
great player,
very good player here.
No.
But not worth it for McDaniels.
No, I agree. Up North Metal Mullet Jesus has texted in to say one of his friends got a girl's name tattooed on his body because they were dating and they broke up. Then he started dating another girl with the same name.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect.
But then they broke up. So then he burned it off with a coat hanger and a cigarette.
And then he met
lighter.
another girl with the same name.
No, he did not.
And it was like,
no, he. What the hell did he do here? Got a coat hanger, cut the hanger in half. Oh, yeah, stuck it over the stove.
No.
And burned the name off. You could smell the dead skin, he says.
Oh, God.
Yucky. Well, I guess I'm only dating Sarahs from here on.
See, if he's smart, he would have hid the tattoo from the second one until the relationship progressed a little bit, and then surprised the second one and said, "Look what I did for you," you know?
Yeah, just wear long sleeves for the first few months.
Right.
Stanley Cup Finals, okay? Right when it looked...
One thing, Nick. Can we backtrack 1 second?
Yes.
There was a big NBA trade this weekend.
Oh, yeah. What's his nuts?
The Desmond Bain traded to Orlando.
Yeah.
And Orlando gave up a lot, not necessarily players. KCP and Cole Anthony, who cares? They gave up 4 unprotected draft choices and a draft swap. But Desmond Bain going to Orlando, if Jalen Suggs can ever get healthy, if he could ever play a vast majority of the season, and you throw in Desmond Bain with Banchero and Wagner,
yeah.
Good Lord, man. Orlando is like, they're all in. They're going for it.
It's going to be Orlando and Oklahoma City in the finals for the next 7 years or something.
And this signals Memphis might be looking to do a rebuild.
Yep.
I mean, if they're going to give that up and get all those draft picks back because he's a really good player, that would mean that, Morant might also be going somewhere too.
All right, people are messing with us now. Randy Shaver, Brad Ryder, would you give up Jaden McDaniels for baby nuts?
No.
Not even for baby nuts.
No, because
I thought you guys loved baby nuts.
You put Anthony Edwards and him together. Who's gonna?
There's only one basketball.
There's only one basketball.
All right, Jaden McDaniels for the Greek Freak.
Yes, I would do that.
All right.
Yeah, I would do that, but I'm not sure that Milwaukee would.
Right when it looked like the Edmonton Oilers had something really special going.
Yeah, God darn it.
They pulled off that miracle comeback win in Game 4 on the road to tie the series. They were playing at home in Game 5 Saturday night. The home crowd was beyond pumped. They had a chance to take control of the series. Instead, the Florida Panthers kicked their asses, reminding everyone what has made them such a terrific hockey team the last couple of years. They just don't crack. So Florida won Game 5, and they won Game 5 easily. And that sets up for a possible series-clinching home game for the Panthers tomorrow night. Now, the Oilers aren't done yet. If they can pull off a win tomorrow night, they go back home for Game 7. But it sort of feels like they let their best chance to win the series slip away on Saturday.
For sure. Yeah.
Got another year to wait, Canada. It looks that way. Another year to wait.
Yeah.
It's going to go on forever. Canadian team winning the Cup. Go ahead with the golf.
Yep, J.J. Spawn. One guy under the number. One guy under par in the whole damn tournament. That's how tough that golf course was. And he makes a 65-foot birdie putt at 18 to seal the win. He only needed to make it in 2 putts, but he made it in 1 to win the U.S. Open. But the most remarkable thing is the number, is that golf course just kicked everybody's ass. Just kicked everybody's ass.
And the shot he had on 17,
yes,
the hole before, my goodness, I mean, to step up, and other guys drove that green. I know he wasn't the only one, but to step up in that situation and hit that shot and hit it to 15 feet, good grief. I mean, he earned it for sure.
Oakmont just kicked everybody's butt.
There you go.
My God.
The rain didn't help things either.
No, but you look at the scores, Dana. I mean, the scores are just outrageous. I mean, and I know that the U.S. Open is supposed to be the toughest course setup of any of them in the season, for sure. But that is like, holy crap.
What does he win?
A lot of times, golfers. I mean, I golf a little bit. Golfers will tell you rain will make scores better. because it slows down the greens. It slows down slows down a lot of things, but it certainly didn't do that yesterday.
DeChambeau said earlier in the week when he was asked, what would your average handicapper do, weekend warrior golfer, what would they shoot in this course? And he said they'd be lucky to break 200.
Yeah. He wins $4.3 million for the winning the U.S. Open.
He can get himself a Nintendo Switch, too, with that money.
I think so.
Yeah.
$4.2 million.
Yep.
Oh, man. Hey, one of our listeners has an idea how to inspire Edmonton, the Oilers, to finally win that cup. He said, let me see if I can get the wording correctly. The women of Edmonton need to flash them boobies again.
Was that woman from Edmonton that went viral a couple of years ago?
Oh, yeah.
You got to flash them boobies?
Them boobies. I saw her on the internet over the weekend, too. People have been asking about her,
Get her out for a ceremonial boob flash before the game.
Ceremonial boob drop instead of puck drop.
Yeah. I think she has some kind of a whack-off OnlyFans kind of. I don't know. Listener texted in to remind me it's only 52 days until Jalen Hurts' birthday.
We get those every day now.
Yeah, there's a countdown.
Ever since I pronounced the Philadelphia Eagles my favorite NFL ball club, I get a daily update on how close we are to Jalen Hurts' birthday, and I appreciate that. What else did I read? Oh, you know who wants to win a Super Bowl really badly? Dak Prescott, starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, okay. You'll be waiting a long time, dude.
What are you talking about?
Because the Cowboys are awful.
He wants to win a Super Bowl. In an interview, Josh, that I saw, Dak Prescott, he mentioned his legacy.
Certain guys have to bring that up.
Oh, man.
You don't think it's going to happen anytime?
No.
For Dak?
No.
All right.
No. Dallas is so far from being in position for that.
Okay. We were talking about getting our ladies tattooed. How do I say this? We were talking about getting our ladies, our significant others' names tattooed on our body. It can be an iffy thing, if the relationship doesn't. Firefighter in our listening audience has texted in and says, I don't have a tattoo of any women's names, but I'm currently dating the third girl in my lifetime with the same name.
I've dated 3 with the same name.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time?
I can't handle that. No, not at the same time.
Well, that would be easy, though, Josh, because you don't have to worry about the name.
That's true.
Well, I mean, sure, there are plenty of very common names out there, but dated, like they became your serious significant other.
Yeah.
Three women with the same name.
Correct.
No kidding. Did you ever F up the last name? Or ask about a parent, but you had the wrong parent?
No, luckily, no.
How's your dad doing with his job at NASA? And then the girl says, well, that's not me. That's the other gal. You want to say the name?
Jen.
Common name.
Gens, yeah.
Common name. Well, there you go. All right, boys. Anything we missed?
I don't think so.
I think you got it all.
All right, by damn. Well, you two go out and have a wonderful day. Thanks for everything as usual, Brad Ryder and Randy Shaver.
You bet.
All right.
Wonderful. Before we escape, we want to give you a heads up to get your cell phone cooking. 651-989-9393. If you have a question about your health, your body, because Dr. P. Jesus is going to be swinging by here shortly. So, again, if you have a question or a concern, you can text it in, 651-989-9393, and we'll see what the doctor comes up with here next on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
On 93X.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Expert entrepreneur Ed Milet is on a mission to max out your life.
We're throwing open the metaphorical closet doors of our lives. We're going to be cleaning out the closet. What no longer fits? Audit some of your relationships. How about auditing your emotions? Maybe it's your career you need to look at. Get your life together for this season.
The Ed Milet Show.
It's time for a little cleaning of the soul. Let's get a little ruthless, a little refreshing, and a little real. God bless you, everyone.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Dr. P. Jesus.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Oh. Here we go. Welcome back to the Programski, the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. Our next guest, if you could see him right now, you'd say he could have used some effing sunblock yesterday. As red as a tomato. So you might be wondering if this guy isn't smart enough to get out of the sun or apply some sunblock, how am I supposed to trust his advice on my health? Well, it's a fair question, but he does know his stuff. 651-989-9393 is the number to text in if you have a question for Dr. James Parnell, otherwise known as Dr. P. Jesus. Dr. P, with that sunburn, you look like a very angry Ron Gardenhire this morning.
I thought maybe you just had hypertension or something.
Yeah, right.
Like
my head's about to pop off.
You went yesterday. You went and played some pickleball, and you forgot to apply the sunblock.
No. I did apply. I played at a tournament in Savage, which it was actually
the Vag.
Yeah, it was exactly. It was a great tournament. I don't know if they call it that, but
the Vag.
They have some really nice pickleball courts. They have invested some money in it. Actually, I talked to the guy who was running it, who works for Parks and Rec, and yeah, I mean they've got 12 nice courts, so it's cool.
Yeah. What makes a court better than another one? Isn't it just flat ground and a net?
Yeah, but they have some,
you're so naive.
they have some shade.
Oh, okay.
They have wind blocking on the fences around the outside, and probably best of all for them is it's at the community center, which nobody lives right around it. So, because noise stuff is a big deal with pickleball courts. Like
people don't like it.
Yeah, it was. We ran out of time, but I had a story for the news today about that. Like, it's enraging neighbors.
Oh man, it's
hearing
bad.
all the dinks.
It's bad, yeah. And I think it would be annoying. There is technology that can block it, and but it's expensive to put around the fences.
Were you going in a direction somehow to explain your sunburn with this?
Oh, just I mean, I really it ended up being. I woke up thinking, oh man, this is gonna be an easy day. It's gonna get rained out. I can just lay on the couch. And no, it was a muggy, warm day.
Yeah.
Eventually, very sunny, and I was sweating so much that I couldn't keep up with the sunblock.
The sunblock was being wiped right out by perspiration.
It was, and I played okay. I was playing with a new mixed doubles partner who is a very talented and motivated player.
Yeah.
Our results were, medium. But if I was trying to figure out how to describe this, if I was going to describe it like with an analogy of a first date, I don't think there will be a second date.
I was going to ask. You said motivated.
Yes,
is that a nice way to say he or she's yelling at you?
She wasn't yelling at me, but I don't think I'll be playing with her again in a tournament.
Here's a guy who got a little sun yesterday. So you could say you went to the Vag. And you came away from it red and irritated.
Yeah, I should probably text into a radio show.
You could diagnose yourself, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
651-989-9393. Again, if you have a friggin' question for Dr. P. Jesus, we'll start with this one right here. We've got a listener who says every time I eat, my stomach churns and I have to take a deuce immediately. This has been going on for a couple months. No new foods in my diet. I've been eating the same thing pretty much for 20 years. Steve-O is thanking you ahead of time for any thoughts or advice you might have on this. Every time he eats, he's got to hit the can. Irritable bowel syndrome.
I mean, that's the most likely answer. Irritable bowel syndrome, unfortunately covers a wide variety of abnormalities that can be all the way from like really significant constipation problems to diarrhea, or even classically more, it's sort of an alternating pattern.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
I never knew that constipation was part of the scene there.
It can be, yeah.
So you go one way or the other, and then sometimes it's both.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not the same day, but yeah. But it's annoying. I don't think we still understand exactly what is going on, except that our gut is, there's more neurons, or not neurons. Yeah, basically, there's more nerve.
Like, we're going to correct you.
There's more stuff going on to control your gut than there kind of is in your brain. It's that complicated, and so if it's just not quite coordinated, you get functional problems, which is what that's called. As opposed to, so a functional problem is, you can look and you can do biopsies and you can't find anything absolutely wrong. Whereas if you have Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, you do a biopsy and there's clearly an abnormality. So a functional problem. I'm trying to think of, there's not really anything that, likely that would be causing it medically, I don't think. I mean, again, if it's a new pattern, it's probably not a bad idea to get in and be seen, because
this guy might need to get fingered.
Yeah, I mean, right. Depending how old he is. I mean, if he hasn't had a colonoscopy, he should get a colonoscopy. Things, a little bit of hyperthyroidism can cause your, the frequency of your bowels to increase. An infection seems very unlikely. So, yeah, again, it's probably getting in and talking about it.
Spend a lot of money on toilet paper.
Yeah, well, or unless you have a bidet seat.
A what?
A bidet seat.
Oh.
But yes. But yeah, I think get in to be seen. Irritable bowel is very annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
There are some prescription medications that, usually you try to avoid. Traditionally we would kind of have people, get some more fiber in your diet. I guess lactose intolerance is the thing that just occurred to me. That obviously would cause.
You can develop that at some point?
You absolutely can, yeah. Usually you're not usually born with it. It's something in like Scandinavian heritage, particularly it develops as you get older. Not necessarily old, but older, not a kid.
Should he bring a fecal sample to the doctor's visit?
No. No,
Josh,
please do not.
Josh, you said you had a run of where you dated women with the same name for a while. My buddy, he had a string where about 4 or 5 girls in a row he was dating had just the worst IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And he goes, I don't know what it is that I...
Really?
Yes.
Did they have it before they met him?
I didn't even think about that. Maybe he caused the IBS.
3-4 girlfriends in a row, and every time they went out for dinner, she had to run to the bathroom?
They had poop issues.
And she would sometimes leave.
Yeah.
God dang. All right.
So I'll try anything 4 times, Jesus. I got a medical question in a second, but he wants to comment on the pickleball.
Yeah.
He said he works for the parks department. The dinks from the balls is the second biggest complaint they get from neighbors, right, for pickleball. He said the first complaint is the paddles stuck up the players' asses. You play a lot of pickleball. You haven't seen something like that, have you?
I have not.
Wow.
That sounds very alarming.
This person says, it might be short, but sure is skinny, Jesus. I've been told I have a scrotal hydrocele.
You had that problem, didn't you, Josh?
I had a varicocele. I don't know if this is anywhere near the same.
Same place, different thing.
This says it's kind of annoying. Can it be surgically fixed? And if so, how painful is recovery? Yeah, I had a varicocele repaired.
Yep.
And that was not painful at all for recovery. And it's surgically repaired.
Yeah. So a varicocele is a dilated, but down in the scrotum, there are testicles that have an artery, a vein, a nerve, and the vas deferens. So blood supply going to and from, nerve supply.
And for me, an earring. I have my
earring. And then the sperm comes through the vas deferens. So
hell yeah.
So a varicocele is the vein. It's a varicose vein in the scrotum instead of in the leg. Hydrocele is, you're going to like this one. It is fluid from the abdominal cavity filling the tunic. Is it tunic or tunica? Tunica vaginalis, I believe it's called, which is the It's an embryonic remnant from when, as a male fetus, the testicles migrate from the abdomen, which is where they start. They start out where ovaries are, and then they migrate through the abdominal wall and then drop down and form a scrotum. I mean, it's a very magical thing, really.
Beautiful.
When you think about it. But
fun to watch.
But fun.
Yeah.
But if for whatever reason that tissue is supposed to just kind of go away after everything's in place, sometimes it doesn't. So there's a little bit of a residual, like basically a potential space for fluid to collect.
Yeah, man.
In babies, sometimes it can be significant and
sounds painful.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that they're really painful. It's just, I mean, it's in the way.
Yeah.
In a baby, usually you deal with it because it's going to, push against things that need to be developing. As an adult, it's really only if it is bothering you. It is the kind of thing, if you lift or, bear down, it may feel more tense. I mean, I have seen people who had at least grapefruit-sized hydroceles, and they ultimately decided to deal with that because it just doesn't work.
They were walking around town with grapefruit-sized balls like Vince McMahon?
Yeah, only one.
Oh, my God.
But
And what do you mean? They eventually decided to correct it. How long did they live with that condition?
That I don't remember.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's just...
My God.
Right. It would be very awkward to sit or to stand or to walk. So it's not... it's probably about the same as varicocele, essentially. They just got to make an incision and basically they've got to... drain the fluid, but then they have to kind of track this tissue back up and make sure it's closed off. So So it's probably. I mean, how long did it take you to recover from varicocele?
Oh, it was easy. I don't even remember recovery. What I didn't realize is they don't go through the nuts. For me, they kind of went higher up. I'd be happy to show you my scar.
Oh yeah,
it's in the pubis region.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Which is also fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not totally sure where. I mean, that's because they need to get to the vein higher up. I'm not sure what they do about this in terms of whether it's a scrotal incision or more of a laparoscopy.
I didn't know that. What was that second condition? Not the one Josh had, the one you were discussing.
Hydrocele?
Hydrocele. I didn't know it causes them to balloon up, the fluid.
It can.
Next thing you know, you got like tennis ball size and then softball size. My God, what a horror show.
Most of the time, they're a lot smaller than that.
Oh!
So that sounds very painful. Like my varicocele, never felt anything. The only reason I was checked for it is just fertility issues.
It is when your friends say, hey, let's go on this bicycle ride. That's, I bet, when the pain kicks in.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'll look that up. I feel like it's not necessarily painful itself. It's more, if you sit down and you crush the thing, that doesn't feel good.
Ow.
Unbelievable. Very interesting and frightening stuff. Dr. P. Jesus is with us in studio. 651-989-9393 is the number if you have a question. Now, we're going down this route. Antidepressants and such. Medication. See where you can go with this. What are the best antidepressants for someone with CPTSD, depression, and anxiety? My wife has these problems. She's epileptic and ends up having seizures when taking them. This is probably a very difficult question, Dr. P. It's very...
His wife has seizures when she takes?
Yes. What would be a good anti-seizure medication? So, again, one more time. CPTSD, major depression, anxiety, epilepsy. When she takes her seizure medication, when she takes medication, she has seizures.
Okay. It took me a second. Chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, I think, is what they're referring to there, as opposed to, well, I'm not even sure that's... anyway, I mean, there is really no acute... There's acute stress disorder, but there's no acute... Anyway, post-traumatic stress disorder is, adds a level of complication to any kind of mental health stuff. I'd say it is usually best dealt with through various kind of cognitive behavioral stuff, like with a therapist. That can be different techniques that they use to have you thinking about things differently. There's a very interesting thing called eye movement desensitization therapy, where basically, I mean, it sounds crazy, but the therapist has you kind of following something with your eyes as you're talking about the stressful event, and it's kind of passing this information back and forth to the two sides of your brain, and it kind of helps
really
repave some of those pathways to get rid of. I mean, a post-traumatic stress event, it's sort of like it causes like a neurological connection that you just cannot get past. So
interesting.
So that's a very interesting thing. Again, there's other behavioral type things. Medications, I mean, boy.
There's a lot going on
here.
here.
Well, there is, yeah. Wellbutrin is an antidepressant that you definitely do not want to take if you have any sort of predilection to seizures. And that's a known thing. It does increase the risk of seizures. Most of the other ones, I don't generally do that. I mean, the most common ones are, again, still the ones that have been around since the 80s, I guess. Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, and then slightly newer versions of all of those. I guess we still don't know if she actually has a seizure disorder or whether she has had seizures-related medications. But
it says she is epileptic.
It did say she's epileptic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then, so that's a matter of figuring out what she's on, because epilepsy drugs, unfortunately, do tend to have a lot of drug-to-drug interactions, particularly older ones, but some of the newer ones too. So that's the kind of thing where you need a neurologist and a psychiatrist to be really working together.
Right. Right.
I mean, basically, if you're on an epilepsy regimen that is preventing you from having seizures, you need to stay on that. You don't usually want to be playing around with that, and so it would be trying to come up with, a safe medication regimen to help depression. Again, if it's more traumatic stress disorder, then maybe the medication isn't going to be the solution, or at least not the primary solution. It is going to be working with someone who's a specialist in that.
Have a conversation with a couple of specialists on this. This is probably something we don't really need to, we won't really want to be handling just strictly over the radio.
No, I don't think that would be wise or responsible.
There you go.
Millennial Steel Cutter Jesus has a question about joint pain. He said he ices his knees sometimes for the pain. Is there anything else he could be doing?
So, and knees is all he mentioned?
That's what he mentioned, but I mean, I think he said in general, for anybody.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I mean, knee pain can be acute because you strain your knee, you tear a meniscus, the cartilage, you have a ligament injury. Those usually come out of nowhere and are bad and then sort of get better, hopefully. Some early arthritis is just sort of an annoying pain that, may bother you in certain weather more. It bothers you with certain activities. I mean, certainly the first line treatments for any kind of joint pain Tylenol is the safest pain medicine generally, because it's not an anti-inflammatory. It's not going to affect your stomach as long as you don't overdose on it or chronically take too much. It doesn't cause any injury to organs. If you do exceed recommended dosages for a long time or acutely, you can hurt your liver. But taking that a couple times a day, if that's not effective, then there's plenty of over-the-counter NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, including ibuprofen and naproxen, Aleve, basically. So those are the first line things there. Ice, ice is a very helpful thing when you have, if you have a job that makes you climb up and down ladders every day, or you might want to invest in a nice ice machine. I still have one from. I'd be happy to sell it to him. No, I was kidding. They have these things there's fancy medical versions of these, but then there's ones you can get on Amazon where it's essentially a cooler, has a little pump in it, has this tubing that goes to a thing you wrap around your knee, you put water in it and ice, and then it circulates that.
Oh, wow.
And it's freaking amazing. I mean, you have that on
I never heard of that.
You can put it on at night if it's driving you crazy. So there's...
Sometimes it's an old school method that can help with these things.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's, and that's really just assuming that you have a problem, and arthritis, once it starts, doesn't get better. Again, obviously, if it's a new pain, you want to go in and see somebody. If it's pain that's getting worse over time, especially if it's preventing you from doing either the activities you want to do or your work, then you need to get x-rays and talk to the doc. And, you maybe an arthroscopic surgery could help you, maybe a joint replacement down the line, but that's usually way down the line.
There you go. Little ice little ice will always help. We got to take a break. 651-989-9393 is the number if you have a question for the doc. Dr. P. Jesus and the Half-Assed Morning Show will return here in a few minutes.
Hi, everybody.
Dr. P. Jesus, welcome to the Half-Assed Morning Show.
93X.
Who's cranking up that acid rock over there? That acid rock must mean that we've returned.
We're back.
We didn't follow that over here. We didn't.
We had no idea.
We were talking this, talking that. Dr. P. Jesus is here with the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, happily fielding text questions from our listeners. Here's a few more, Doc, before we got to let you go. It is too bad that our pregnant friend and coworker Ashley is out today. She's not feeling well, because she might be able to chime in on this. We got a couple of questions, Dr. P, on the magic of childbirth. Okay? Here's the first. My wife had a C-section with the last kid, and she lost feeling down there. Is there any hope to get that back? It's been 8 years. Much appreciated. Love the show. That's from Dan.
Oh, that's too bad.
Lost? Really? Honest to God, 8 friggin' years?
That poor gal.
That's surprising just because...
the C-section.
Right. I mean, the C-section is done up above the...
Is the C connected to the V somehow?
Internally, kind of, but yeah, no, I mean, I don't understand that.
How did the C get involved with the V?
Yeah. Did the V get above the C?
Are you trying to be like Seinfeld?
No. What were we doing there,
There's
John?
something about marriage.
Yeah.
How'd you get the beans above the Frank?
Oh, right. Frank's above the bean. Okay.
C-section, but V problems.
Yeah, I don't think they should be connected at all. I mean, the nerves that go to the V are not the same ones that innervate the skin and the tissues, right? Especially where they go in through the abdomen. I mean,
so is there a chance here Dan and his wife have made a mistake, and the C-section has nothing to do? The C has nothing to do with the V. The C-section did not cause the V problems.
And is there any danger to the T or the A?
The T and the A are fine. I mean, I would be. I'm just trying to think this through. I mean, see, they obviously go through the abdomen. You have to sort of carefully separate the bladder from the uterus. That's an important thing. You don't want to cut that open. And then you make an incision through the uterus, and you do that crosswise. So, I mean, I would think, if anything, it had to do with something with how the baby was in place already. Because, I mean, it would have been pressure against nerves down in the pelvis from the baby, not typically from anything with the C-section. I mean, if she had been, we don't know the details, if she had been had a prolonged labor and the baby was, sometimes the baby really gets stuck, and so it does make it more complicated to do a C-section because you almost have to push the baby back up, or it's just resistant to coming back. But no matter what happened, I mean, it sounds like it happened then. Unfortunately, 8 years, nerve function can be very prolonged in terms of how long it takes. Months, usually by a year, you hope that you're getting, feeling or function back.
Yeah, that's concerning.
A couple years maybe, but 8 years, I feel like it wouldn't probably be related to the surgery unless there were complications during the surgery. That,
no offense to you, Dr. P, but she should probably call Dr. V.
I think she should call Dr. V.
Call Dr. V.
Absolutely.
One more on childbirth. Here's a gal who's pregnant and her feet tingle at night, so much so it keeps her awake. What do you think about a gal who has tingly feet and a baby on the way? No mention of the C, the V, the T, the A, nothing.
Yeah, if we don't have those initials, we don't know what to do.
Josh, did your feet tingle when your wife was pregnant?
Yeah.
Your feet tingled when she was pregnant. See, you never know. The human body's a magical thing.
Because she put on weight, so when I lift her, I think I did some damage to my feet.
Some nerve damage to his feet.
Again, I mean, obviously, the pressure of a baby down in the lower pelvis onto all the nerves and stuff that are there can be problematic. Although there really shouldn't. Boy,
it can give you a beating.
It's been a while since I did my anatomy, but there shouldn't really be anything that causes tingling in the feet. I don't think. I'd say with women, it's more probably related to you have increase in like your circulating volume, and so your blood vessels are larger, and sometimes because, I mean, just like with the scrotum, not in a female result.
Oh, here we go.
But basically, anywhere in the body has artery, vein, and nerves going to it. And
Gross.
And so they go through they go through channels like the femoral sheath and things like that. And so if there is more volume to the veins, potentially the arteries, sometimes the nerves just get affected by that. And I can't think of anything offhand that is like that's a warning sign of something.
Nothing makes you nervous there?
Appreciate you mentioning the femoral sheath.
Yeah, you're welcome. Femoral sheath is often forgotten.
That's where you keep your femoral?
Yeah, that's right.
This person along pregnancy lines, my wife, this person says, is having the worst nausea from morning sickness. She can't even leave bed. What type of medication can she
Everybody's
try?
knocked
There's
up.
a lot of fertile, horny people in the listening audience.
Everybody's with child.
There are. Well, let's see. There are over-the-counter things. I guess I would say she needs to talk to her doc, because if she's that bad, she may be at the point where, if you're not able to get out of bed and you're not maintaining hydration, that's basically hyperemesis in pregnancy. And well, actually, I guess, is she vomiting or is she just nauseous? Anyway, she may need IV fluids. That's one thing. Vitamin B6 is one of the big things that people use. And then an OBGYN can offer some other solutions, but it really, when it's that bad, you don't want to fool around.
No, that
sounds miserable.
We got to go, but real quick, one more concerning children.
Yeah.
Talipes, Talipes, also known as clubfoot.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Real quick, if I had talipes, or however you say it, as a child, will my future children inherit that?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I thought clubfoot was. I could be wrong about that. I might have to get back to you next time on that one. I believe that it is it's a positional thing in the uterus where basically there was pressure on the foot as it was developing.
If you want to, get back to us next time.
Yeah.
The person who texted in wrote "please" in capital letters, so I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure we got to it.
Yeah, I would say, especially if it's isolated. If sometimes there's limb abnormalities that are associated with different genetic syndromes, but that usually has a whole host of things going on. So if it's an isolated thing, especially, did they say whether it was one or two? Just says
the word talipes.
Yeah.
That sounds like a trendy hotspot, doesn't it? We're going to clubfoot.
Right, or a type of, Spanish dish that you get.
When you go there, order
small servings.
Order the venereal sheath.
Femoral sheath.
Femoral sheath.
Yeah.
With
the femoral sheath fries.
A glass of wine.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we'll hang on to this. Is Tire Guy Jesus asking. I know he listens regularly.
Good.
So by next time, you can give us an answer on the scene, the clubfoot scene.
Yeah.
Not the club scene, but the clubfoot scene.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of it is I've never had a patient that had clubfoot or dealt with it, so I haven't thought about it in a long time.
Sure. Thank you, Dr.
Nice
P.
to
You
see
bet.
you. Take care of that,
Good to see you
P.
too. Yeah, I will get some sunscreen on as soon as I get home.
Yeah.
I want to start a shout-out today with a huge thank you to Minnesota's law enforcement community for bringing the weekend's manhunt to an end.
Dude.
Awful weekend. Godspeed to TBI Epilepsy Jesus on a 12-hour drive to his grandma's memorial. Our best to you and your family. Shout out to Eli and the Blooming Prairie High School football team. Headed up to Duluth for football camp from Wrestling Dad Jesus. Happy anniversary to Sass Master Jesus. Been putting up with hauling your wood Jesus for 12 perfect years.
Perfect, huh?
IROC texted in a happy birthday shout out to his smoking hot wife, Jolene, turning 50. Happy birthday to a little member of the sisterhood, Winona, who this says Winora. Okay, so I'll say Winora, who turns the big 05 today from her grandpa, printing Jesus. Short but fat Jesus, wishing a happy birthday to her husband, Dumplings, and once again, a happiest birthdays to Dana's mom, Jesus.
Aww.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.